Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? Now, I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet because we don't have Master here for too long. Usually, the podcast's gone for like 4 or 5 hours. So, I'm just going to quickly let you guys know that if you have any questions, you can send them in. I've got some questions that have already been sent to me. I think he's only going to be here for like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we'll try to get through them as quickly as we can. And I apologize if I end up missing any. So I'm gonna bring in Master straight away. We'll save the hellos for later on. And yeah, so let me go on, bro.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just a busy ninja these days.
I can imagine. Well, I'm really appreciative having you on here. I know that you're really, really busy, so I think everyone's very grateful to have you here. Just in
Glad to
case
be
there's
here.
anybody here that doesn't know who you are, could you give them like a very, very brief introduction? Because I think most people that have turned up here are aware of who you are.
Yeah, so I go by Emanuel Master Rodriguez. That's kind of like my whole title name. I've played I'm a gamer just like anybody else, play a bunch of different games. I was born in El Paso, grew up there, graduated high school, came to Dallas to pursue computer engineering. In the process of that, I was a big DOA fan going through high school and all that stuff, and ended up playing online just to see how good I was. Ended up being one of the best, and ended up winning a world championship at one point, and got sponsorships and all that stuff. And then obviously a big Ninja Gaiden fan, played a lot of Ninja Gaiden, and somehow, some way, with the communications and the relationships and friendships that I made, I was able to get a job for the team I grew up playing. So now I work for Team Ninja as their community manager, handling everything Team Ninja related. So things related to Dead or Alive, Ninja Gaiden, Neo, Wolong, Rise of the Ronin, and of course Ninja Gaiden 4, which is right around the corner, coming out in October.
That's awesome, man. You're living the dream, I think, for anyone.
I feel like I am, and I'm always grateful because a lot of this that had happened is really from the community. You know what I'm saying? It all came from the community. So the fact that I'm here is just, it's kind of like I try to look at it as like an opportunity that people can believe in, that it can actually happen. It's a very rare opportunity, but I think just the idea of just believing and seeing where it goes is a very powerful statement, and I think it's motivational to a lot of people that may be trying to go a similar route.
Yeah, because I was on your YouTube channel watching a lot of your old videos, and I see you've been uploading for 17 years. It's been tons of DOA stuff. I was watching some videos that you did that were like, they were almost filmed like cinematic sort of, but then they were going a tutorial about like DOA 4 and whatnot. So as far as I could see, like you were one of like I'd say you were one of the pioneers in that area for DOA.
Yeah, I would say I was one of the early ones. I wasn't the very first for sure, but I was definitely one of the earlier ones of trying to put out like DOA content because I was such a huge fan. I was so engrossed in it. I was just a fan of the game, before I even was becoming competitive or whatnot. But once I got competitive and, I made a career from it, I thought it would be great to try to educate more players, because I was always in the mentality that if you want to grow, your community has to grow. So the whole idea is like, how do you do that? So I put out like tutorials, or I'll put out like some funny stuff or whatnot, or things related to DOA that I thought people would think would be cool. And then some people really liked it. It kind of resonated with some folks. And a lot of people learned a lot too.
Yeah, so I am very new to DOA. I've always played it. I've always been aware of it. We had DOA at Trocadero Arcade. We had it at Gamer Base. So I've always been aware of it, but I didn't realize, of all the fighting games that I've played, DOA is the one that I can button mash in the least, which I really, really like, because I played Hoodless. I had no idea that he was like the DOA 6 champion.
Oh yeah, you were in for some hurt.
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, who's this guy? I'm just gonna quickly mess him up. I picked Mila. I couldn't touch him. Like, I tried my best to in Tekken, you'll get a hit, you'll land something, but I couldn't land a hit. And I was like, this is really like intelligent design, because it's it really separates the boys from the men. Yeah. Is that what drew you to DOA? Because obviously you've been playing for a long time. I imagine you probably played other fighting games as well. What was it that really got you into DOA?
So funny thing is, I did play other fighting games, and I still play them from time to time, like Street Fighter 6 and stuff like that, and obviously DOA 6. But back in the day, I was actually a Capcom guy. So my brother grew up playing Capcom games, my older brother. So he kind of got me into Street Fighter 2 and all that stuff. He would beat my butt like countless times. So eventually I just kind of got good, you know what I'm saying? And so I learned those games, was a big Marvel vs. Capcom player as well, in the sense of just playing it. I was just a fan of it. I was never really into the competitive scene until Dead or Alive. But what got me into DOA, I remember very distinctly, like a friend had brought a demo copy from the Dreamcast to school at the time. And he had his Dreamcast there. And there was like this teacher that was really cool about, you guys can do whatever, just don't break anything. So he would just like set it up on the TV. And we're looking through the demos. And then he tells me, he's like, oh yeah, I know you're into fighting games. And we were like playing Street Fighter Alpha, like maybe a few days ago or whatever. And he was just like, you should check out this game. This game is really sick. So I remember that demo coming on. And I was looking at the intro. If any of you guys have played the original DOA 2 or the DOA 2 demo, there's always that intro that it has or whatnot. And during that intro at that time, graphics like that were really kind of like unheard of. Like you really hadn't seen a game like that in a while, because you had already seen games like Tekken and Soul Calibur, and they just weren't at that level yet. They were going to get at that level. They just weren't there yet. And this was like the first 3D fighting game that I had seen that looked that good. So I thought it was all CG, honestly, when it was playing out. And I was like, oh, this game looks sick. How does it play? And then my friend was like, that's exactly how it plays. It looks like that. So visuals and the dynamic backgrounds falling off cliffs and just seeing the different, martial art styles is kind of what got me into it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so I just tried out the demo. And that's kind of how I got sucked in. That's how I started with DOA.
And was Ryu Hayabusa the character you went to first, or did you discover him a bit later on?
I discovered him a little later. Funny story is, I didn't even know Ryu Hayabusa was Ryu Hayabusa at the time, because I knew him as Ryu, right? So seeing just Hayabusa was like, all right, this character looks cool. But before I even jumped into that, I was actually in the demo. You only had access to Kasumi, Ayane, and Ayan. So I gravitated to Kasumi. I was like, all right, she's really quick. She has a couple of cool flip kicks and stuff like that. I'll play with her. So the demo actually gives you like a short version of the story mode. Like it gives you like 2 or 3 fights, I think. And in each fight, they make sure to include the animations of like the story elements, so any interactions they have with other fighters, you get to experience that. And one of the interactions was with Hayabusa, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, all right, whatever. And I beat him up like every time I went through the demo. I went through the demo probably like 1,000 times or something. And at one point, he held one of my punches and he took me to the sky and he did an Azuna drop. And I was like, I'm getting this game. I'm getting this game. And whatever he just did to me, I got to do to everybody else. So I'm going to get this game now.
Yeah, no, I've been on the unfortunate end of a couple of Azuna drops lately, but I'm still learning. I'm very fresh in DOA. I've taken a liking to Mila just because I played Marduk in Tekken 7. So she kind of felt like that. But I wanted to ask you, like, DOA... Obviously, I know there's probably things that you can't answer, but DOA is like one of the most interesting games that I've played. And I was looking into DOA 5 and how successful it was. And then obviously we had DOA 6. What is going on with the franchise right now? Is there anything that you can sort of share for the future of DOA? Because I'm very excited about it, but I don't know when I've spoken to people where things are going now.
Yeah. Obviously, there's not much I can say about it. The team is obviously very focused on 2 of their biggest franchises as well, which is Ninja Gaiden 4 and Neo 3. For those that are not familiar, Ninja Gaiden is a very classic franchise, very hack and slash. If you guys are into that, very difficult game. Actually, it's known as one of the most difficult franchises in the gaming industry. And then Neo is like a Souls-like, I guess, Massacre type game, very popular. So the team is very focused on those 2 titles right now. They obviously have several projects that they're always working on or looking forward to. When it comes to Dead or Alive, what I'm going to tell you is the same thing I have mentioned in the past before even Ninja Gaiden was announced. Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive are like pillar. I mean, they're not like, they are pillar franchises to the studio, to Team Ninja Studio. And to me, like I said before Ninja Gaiden was even announced, these are 2 franchises that I have no doubt at some point they will revisit. And we got Ninja Gaiden. I think DOA is going to be in the same boat. At some point, they will revisit DOA. So I have no doubt that somehow, some way, this game will come out. As to when and where or whatnot, I don't know. I just know that they would not leave that franchise.
I'm going to ask you about Ninja Gaiden a little bit later on, but I just wanted to ask you, with regards to DOA, does the team that works in it, do they pay close attention to like what's going on in the fighting game scene in general and how people are receiving the latest iterations of these games?
Yeah, yeah. I think any game, any franchise or genre of games, they definitely look at other games either for inspiration or just to see how the market is, what people are doing in the industry. So DOA being a fighting game, they look at other fighting games. They're very much aware of virtual fighters, so they're kind of curious, because some of them are, gamers and fighting game players themselves. So they're just kind of curious. Oh, a new fighting game's coming out or a new version of a fighting game is coming out, and I want to see how that turns out. So they pay attention to everything that goes on when it comes to any game that's within the genre that they do games in.
Okay, and with because I know that Dead or Alive has had a lot of virtual fighter characters in it.
Yeah.
Is virtual fighters? I know that obviously they're different companies, but does virtual fighter success have any bearing on DOA? Let's say, for example, virtual fighter came out and it blew up and it started to rival Tekken or whatever. Would that incentivize them to push forward quicker with a DOA game, or would it not change anything for you guys?
I'm not entirely sure how the business side would work on that. I don't really look into that area. It's not my expertise. But I would assume that anytime a fighting game, and in this case, this is a 3D fighting game, right? We're not talking about 2D fighting games. And anytime 3D fighting games are successful overall, I think that's a good influence for all 3D fighting games to kind of like, hey, this is what's going on right now. I think it looks like people really want this. And I think it's like a good time to like put something out there, So I think the success of Virtual Fighter in general, I think everybody wants to be successful. I don't think anybody would want it to like bomb in any way because I don't think anybody wins that way, So if Virtual Fighter is really successful, I think that'll only be better for DOA, only because it's kind of like the father of DOA, right? It kind of takes a lot of mechanics or a lot of like fighting styles or the way the button layout is kind of from Virtual Fighter, kind of stem from there. So I think it only helps DOA in that case. So obviously I would want Virtual Fighter to do well, just like I would want any other 3D fighting game to do well.
And outside of DOA obviously being your favorite, what would you say your other favorite 3D fighting game is?
Oh man, there's other ones? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I did mess around with Soul Calibur for a little bit. I had a couple of close friends that were pretty good at it, and so Soul Calibur is pretty cool. I always have like this internal joke of like, I don't like Tekken, but I don't even call it Tekken. I call it Kekken, like with a K. So I'd be like, Kekken, is that a real fighting game? But honestly, Tekken is pretty cool. Tekken 8 in particular, I actually enjoyed it. I haven't touched it in a while, though. I will say that I haven't touched it since before patches and all that. When it came out, I played a decent amount just to kind of tinker with it, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. But most of the time, I do stick with DOA because there's something about DOA's fluidity that's unmatched in any other fighting game that I've played, especially 3D fighting games.
So with DOA obviously being your favorite, which DOA game is your favorite? And if you do have a particular one, is that the direction you'd like to see DOA going?
Oh man, that's a good question. Favorite one would probably be, it's a toss-up between DOA 2 U Ultimate and Dimensions. I really did like Dimensions. I feel like Dimensions was very untapped because it was on a mobile device. But DOA 2 U is probably the one that I lean towards a little bit more. Just had a lot of stuff in there. It had a lot of costumes, a lot of content, several stages. Probably, I don't know if it had the most stages, but it definitely had a nice, diverse set of stages. Rather it be cliffs, ceilings, and all that stuff. And it was really cool, like the backgrounds and all that. So I have a lot of fond memories of DOA 2 in general, but DOA 2 Ultimate is kind of what got me into the competitive scene because that's when online became a thing, and I didn't know any better back then. So going online and playing and playing for ranked or whatever was kind of like the thing for me. I was like, I just want to see how good I am, so I'm gonna get on there. I know I'm good, I just don't know how good I am. So that was like, it has a lot of memories, and I met a lot of friends that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, with you bringing up DOA 2, because a lot of people bring that one up to me in particular, DOA 2 Ultimate, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fighting games are getting like collections these days. Like Mortal Kombat's getting one, Street Fighter's gotten the Capcom collections come out twice, and the people have been asking for a Tekken one. There's so many cool DOA games that like I haven't gotten to experience, and I probably can, but for convenience sake, it'd be nice to have them in one place. Is there ever any discussion of doing a DOA collection, of getting all these DOA games that were like put on different consoles or only on Xbox at the time, and bringing them all onto modern systems.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great if we could do something like that. It's definitely, for me, I always thought that that idea would be cool, and it is just, some tidbits is something that I definitely brought up with the team at some point. But I don't know if that's a direction that the team would do. The idea has been tossed in there, I can tell you that. But yeah, it would be great. I think it belongs on every platform, console, PC, just so everybody can enjoy those moments that I got to have. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't have, maybe an Xbox, right? Because it's all those titles are on Xbox right now. And unless you have an Xbox, you can't really relive those moments. So it would be cool to just kind of have that for everybody, So I feel like very fortunate when I'm talking to people and telling people, like, oh man, DOA 2 Ultimate or DOA 3 or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to play those games. It's like, oh, you have no idea what you missed out on. It's like, it's such a good game,
Yeah. So like, you were saying earlier, they pay attention to what goes on in the scene. If people were in theory to like start hashtagging DOA Legacy Collection over and over again, is there any chance they might see that?
There's a chance they might see it. I don't know. I mean, I will make sure to do what I'm supposed to do, which is inform them of what's going on within the community. So if there's a lot of that activity going on, then yeah, obviously they would see it.
Yeah, fair enough. I wanted to ask you about Ninja Gaiden as well. So would it be fair to say like Ryu Hayabusa is like the poster child of Team Ninja?
Yeah, it kind of is because, again, Ninja Gaiden and DOA are the pillar franchises of that studio. That studio was kind of built off of those franchises. I think if I remember correctly, Team Ninja Studio as a whole was kind of like brought in or created because of DOA initially. It was called something else. It was like Development Team 2 or something like that, and eventually became Team Ninja. But yeah, I would say I don't know if Ryu Hayabusa specifically, because some people will feel like Kasumi might be, you know what I'm saying? Because Kasumi's always been the poster child of DOA. So you have Kasumi as the poster child for DOA, and you have Hayabusa for Ninja Gaiden. But Ninja Gaiden is a more recognized franchise, so I guess you could say publicly maybe it is.
Okay, and I've got a question here from you from LKM. Thank you for the 499. Will Ryu have more weapons in Ninja Gaiden 4? Something that you can share.
You'll just have to wait and see, man. I that's information that above my pay grade right there. I can't answer that.
Classified. Sorry, bro.
Thank you for the question, though. Thank you for the question. It is a good question, but it's not something I can answer.
Yeah, so I had a question. I don't know if you can answer this one either. It came in from someone called Longsword. And he said, since Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 got the Unreal Engine treatment, and we got the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black come out recently, is there a possibility to see Ninja Gaiden Black/Sigma or Razor's Edge getting the same treatment in the future?
I do not know, to be quite honest. I'm crossing my fingers that they do, because it would be really sick to just have them all, together like that. So I don't have any information, and all I can do is just hope that that happens. But I'm sure if it does happen, the team will start talking about it and all that stuff. Or it could be another shadow drop, I guess. They did shadow drop too, so who knows? How those discussions happen, but I really don't know.
No, fair enough. Well, I've got one here I think you can answer. It's from Meg Ryan. Who is your dream guest character for DOA? And it's a two-part question. What is your favorite outfit for Ryu Hayabusa?
Okay. Favorite guest character for DOA. I actually like the Spartan guest character that we had for DOA 4 from Halo. I thought that was really cool and very unique. But I think sticking with characters generally, not always, but generally sticking with characters that are from like other fighting games makes the most sense. And I'm a big fan of ninjas. I don't always play the ninja character. A lot of people just assume I play ninja characters in every fighting game. That's not always the case. It's just whatever I gel with the most. But I am a fan of ninjas in general. Like I like how, the look and the whole idea of, these assassins or whatnot. They just look cool to me. And I would think Strider would be cool to have on there. If we can have Strider, you can kind of see the battle between Strider and Hayabusa. How would that turn out? Or you can kind of play your fantasy out. That would be pretty cool. And I'm trying to think of another franchise or something else that would be really cool. Like why not like outside of fighting games, like John Wick? You know, John Wick does a lot of martial arts. It would be kind of cool to see him in a fighting game. So that would be kind of cool to have John Wick in DOA, you know. And then of course, I guess if I were to flip it as a like a, let's say not a male character but a female character, I think Tifa would be really dope. I just think it makes a lot of sense to have Tifa in there. You know, she's very combat heavy, and I think she fits that universe pretty cool. So I would love to see something like that. To answer the second part would be, I'm a big fan of the original throwback outfit of Hayabusa. So you'll always see me rock that outfit. If it's in Ninja Gaiden, I'll rock it in Ninja Gaiden, and sometimes it's in Ninja Gaiden. So I'm a big fan of the, you know, the black with kind of like the goldish or silverish armor. Something about it just looks really cool. It was very unique at the time. It's a little dated now. I think it needs a little bit of an update, but I still like it. I still rock it. So a lot of people that have been with the DOA scene for a very long time, they'll call it the throwback, or they'll call it the master costume.
Okay, yeah, I think I've watched a couple of your matches with you using the same costume over and over again, so I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you had to flip it though, and say like, because you said Kasumi or Ryu could be seen as the poster children of DOA, where would you like to, if you had to say, okay, they're going to appear in another fighting game, where would you put them?
Where would I put them?
Yeah, as in like if they were going to guest star in another fighting game.
Oh, they were going to guest star in another fighting game.
Yeah.
Where would I put them? I hear a lot of talks about them, people wanting Hayabusa and Tekken. I just think he's too strong for Tekken. You know, that's just my personal opinion. You know, I don't think they can hang with him. You know, you got Zuna drops. You have to worry about ceilings. They'd have to reprogram that whole game. I don't think they're ready to bring a character like Hayabusa in there. You know, Kasumi they could probably pull off. Kasumi maybe. You know what I'm saying?
So you saying Ryu beats Kazuya in a fight?
Oh, he beats everybody. That's not even a question. That's not even a real question. I mean, when's the last time Kazuya had his own game? I don't remember. Did he have one? I don't know. I know Hayabusa's had many games. I mean, he's been around from Nintendo, Sega, I mean, Xbox, PlayStation. You know, I'm just saying. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion.
Was there ever like any talk to? I always thought that Ryu would show up in Smash Brothers. I always thought he would be there. Was there ever like any discussion of that happening?
There was a short discussion, I think, and it was even a public one. I think at the time, Hayashi-san, which was the head of the studio at that time, I think had mentioned, I think it was him. It could have been Yasuda-san, I'm not sure. But they mentioned, like, you know, basically public is like, we're just waiting for an invitation. But I don't know how that ended up happening. I don't know what the business background was. But I know publicly we're just like, hey, you know, we're interested. But I don't think anything came out of it.
If there was to be another Smash Brothers, do you think that's something you guys would push for? Because I imagine Nintendo's not just going to leave the franchise alone now.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, that'd definitely be an idea that I would throw in there in the hat and be like, hey, let's get Hayabusa in there. In fact, let's get more than just Hayabusa. Let's try to get, you know, maybe some other characters in there that would be, you know, notable. Maybe Kasumi as well, or maybe, I know we had like a Fatal Frame trophy character in Smash Brothers, which is KT owned. So why not have more of that, you know, just to kind of get more attention to these characters that they've been around for a very long time, especially Ryu. Ryu's been around since the Nintendo era, so it just makes a lot of sense.
Is there I've only just started playing DOA 6. I was primarily playing Last Round, DOA 5 Last Round, and I've been really enjoying it. But I was watching your videos and I was watching you play Hoodless, and I was like, okay, let me jump into DOA 6. And I think it's pretty good. Like, I know it's quite controversial, but are there any plans to do anything else with DOA 6? Is there anything else that's going to be coming out for it, or any tournaments or anything like that?
No, as far as like any other kind of like additional content for DOA 6, we've kind of we did publicly already say that we're kind of done with that game for now. I don't think there's any plans to go back to it at this moment. I haven't heard anything. I think that's just where the team is, because they were moving on to several other projects. As far as tournaments though, tournaments are always going to happen. I always tell people tournaments are always going to happen as long as the community's there and they want to host tournaments. Hoodless is a prime example of that. Not only as a champion, but as a sort of like basically a community leader or community tournament organizer. He'll always have like events. And of course there's other side events and whatnot. When it comes to those tournaments, every now and then I do get hit up and say, you know, people tell me like, hey, you know, is there any kind of support we can have, you know? And depending on the scope of it, I'll be like, yeah, well, you know, maybe we can give you like a DLC code or something like that, you know? So I try to make sure that anybody that's spending that time to try to like bring more community members in and support people that are, you know, trying to get into the series like yourself and maybe just kind of test their skills, that they have something to fight for, rather it be a code or maybe a game copy of DOA 6, or maybe even a game copy of another franchise, you know? So I think that's very important to have that support still to this day. Some people are kind of curious as to like, oh, well, why is there still support, you know, or like posts that still happen on the DOA official like Twitter. And to me, that's always been important. Like, because I said what I said earlier about, you know, I don't see the company letting go of DOA. I think it's important to still have at least some level of support showing that, you know, there is some love. You know, we celebrate the characters' birthdays. We'll retweet a tournament. We'll retweet some artwork or whatnot. I think that's important because people are spending that time to create that content or be a part of that. And I think they should get recognized for it, you know, as long as it's like, you know, not something hateful, obviously. But other than that, I think it's important to spotlight those things.
Does the team Ninja, like, they probably do, it's probably a silly question, but did they realize like how popular it is on YouTube? Because now that I've gone looking for DOA stuff, I'm looking at DOA retrospectives and people doing like video essays on DOA, and like they're massive in popularity.
Yeah.
Does the team realize like how popular the game is? Like how well received it's outside of the fighting game community?
Yeah. So Dead or Alive as a overall like franchise in its characters, obviously its female characters are very popular as well. So they have spin-offs and all that stuff. They're aware of how popular it is. And to touch on what you just said about these like retrospect things, I've seen some of them myself, and I've noticed them that they kind of came out in the last couple of years. I mean, maybe less than 5 years, I think. But having said that, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, Ninja Gaiden announcements were happening too. You know what I'm saying? So seeing Ninja Gaiden automatically kind of like pops up in people's head. It's like, well, if they're doing Ninja Gaiden, you know, what's going on with DOA? Because again, those are pillar franchises to the studio. So it automatically triggers people to be like, okay, you know, let's go back to see what's going on with Ninja Gaiden, but also let's talk about DOA, you know? So they bring that in because there's a lot of characters that share the same universe.
Okay, and yeah, because I've been watching a lot of them recently. Like when I went looking for your channel, obviously I've started to get recommendations, and it's crazy to see how popular it is.
Yeah.
If you were to, because a lot of the people in my community are new to DOA, which DOA would you advise them? This is the one that you should pick up and play, and this will really get you into the franchise.
That's a interesting question, because I can easily tell you, hey, play DOA 2 Ultimate. But if you don't have an Xbox, how do you play it, right? So my go-to answer is usually to play the latest one that's out. So I would say play DOA 6. Accessibility-wise, like just to find it and buy it, it's fairly easy to do. Also to find matches is generally pretty easy to do as well, depending on the platform, I guess. I believe PlayStation is the most popular one, I think, as far as like online matches, followed by PC. It flip-flops sometimes. But I would say DOA 6 because it's just easier to get to, you know, and they put the game on sale frequently. And if you do happen to get it on PC, you have the lobbies on PC. I think that's one of the things that holds me back from also recommending DOA 5 last round, which I think is still a great game as well. And you should definitely play it. But if you play it on PC, you may be having a limited experience too, you know what I'm saying? So you may come across something where it's like, hey, wait a minute, how come he's doing that and I can't do that? And it's like, oh yeah, well, you're on the PC version. The PC version lacks a few features, you know? So I always say, just go with the latest one. You'll learn the same things you would have learned in the other games and probably a few extra things.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because I had Tom Brady on here before, and we were going through like the history of DOA and how like different DOA games had different champions and loads of different players for each one. Who would you say is like the overall greatest DOA player of all time? You can't say yourself.
I was wondering if you're gonna say that. Okay, since I'm not in the picture then. Greatest DOA player. So there's a lot of really good DOA players. So I want to make sure some people get spotlighted. Obviously, Offbeat Ninja was a really great player. In my opinion, he was one of my greatest rivals out of all the people that I've played. But Offbeat Ninja is a great player. Perfect Legend, obviously a very skilled player himself. Black Mamba was pretty good as well. Excalibur Blades, Crazy Steady, Electrified Man. These are guys that all have like either placed or won events, rather they be like regionals or whatnot. Hoodless is just, I mean, he's the champ, you know. I'm trying to think of who would be the most. I think they all had their own time. Sweet Revenge was really good at one point too. I know I'm probably going to miss a few players. Obviously, there was Taro Rock, the Japanese players, the European players as well. Logica, Tani, Gahog Ball. But the one that stands out, or I would say maybe the three that stand out, I think X-Cal stood out. Hoodless stood out. And then I'm trying to think who else would stand out like that. Quiggle was really good too. Quiggle, Sonic Fox, they were both really good players. Sonic Fox actually started in DOA, if I remember correctly, actually.
Do you know a lot of these names that you're dropping? When I did my first DOA stream, and I didn't know that anyone was even watching. A lot of these names you're saying, like Hoodless, I think it was Nunchaku came in. A bunch of these guys came in and just started obliterating us. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I've just turned this game on. There's like, I don't know what they call it, like diamond rank or something.
Yeah.
And they were just killing us. And I was like, oh, what is happening? And then someone told me, oh, these are like all the best players in the world. They're all in your stream. And I was like, that's great. I don't know how I'm going to learn the game now.
Yeah, there's a lot of great players. There's a lot of, but when it comes to like the top, you know, the cream of the crop, it's those names that I dropped are probably some of the ones that really stand out. I know I probably missed a few though, but those guys really, whenever you go to an event, you'll usually see those names in the top 8 almost always, you know. Other notable names as well as like Zagrai, Emery, Black Moon Rising actually was very top for a while. He was in the top 8 almost all the time. I'm trying to see who else, but those 2 to 3 names that I mentioned, like Hoodless, Xcal, and then those guys really stand out a lot. They won a lot of tournaments or placed a lot of tournaments. I know there's another name. I can't think of the other name right now. I forgot. I think they changed the names at one point, but he played Tina. He was also part of the World Championship qualifiers and stuff like that. He was really good as well. He was very good. I just can't think of the name right now.
That's all right. That's cool. We'll come back to it. There's a couple of super chat questions that came in for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So where is it? So there's Dragon Master. Thank you for the $2. Is the Rise of the Ronin getting DLC?
Is Rise of the Ronin getting DLC? I do not know. I don't think so. I don't think that's really a question I can answer. I don't really know.
Yeah, some of the questions he just won't be able to answer, so don't get offended. LKM, thank you for the $5. When did the collaboration happen between TM and PG for Ninja Gaiden 4?
Oh man, that's not a question I can answer yet.
Okay, well you're here soon then. At some point. Momiji, thank you for the $5. Speaking of female characters, is Momiji your favorite ninja? Yes or yes?
Yes or yes? Yes, obviously.
I think my favorite,
I actually like Momiji as a character overall. I like her design, and I don't know, something about her. It's kind of like a sweetheart type of ninja character that, you know, she's there to do business and also take care of you. It's really cool character design.
Yeah, I quite like her as well. I like Noitengu.
Oh, I knew it. I got. She's like that. She's that one girl you got to be careful, but you kind of want to talk to, you know.
But you know, you definitely shouldn't.
Yeah.
Jabata, thank you for the $5. Can you make Mai a permanent DOA character and add Chun-Li in DOA 7? Will DOA characters appear in Ninja Gaiden 4?
Oh man, Chun-Li would be great to
she would
see
be perfect
in DOA. That's not a bad suggestion. Yeah, I don't know if we can make them permanent. Those are usually, you know, discussions that happen, business discussions that happen as far as like, you know, licenses and whatnot. So I couldn't tell you if they could be there forever or if they will be included or whatnot. And then of course, anything that hasn't already been announced for Ninja Gaiden 4, you're just gonna have to wait and see. But I know people that will eventually, you know, play Ninja Gaiden are gonna have a lot of fun. It's just a great fun game. If you're into like difficult games or challenging games, and it has, you know, the hack and slash elements. Now, for those that are, you know, obviously not super into challenging games, there's obviously a mode for people to get through the game and get an understanding of the mechanics.
Yeah, I played the original Ninja Gaiden too, and
Yeah.
I've never been destroyed that quickly on a video game. Like it was I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I quit for a long time, and then I came back to it. And I think that's one of its charms. And one thing that I was worried about is Ninja Gaiden 4, is it gonna like neuter itself for the way that a lot of games do these days, where they're very easy and it's easy to get through? Is Ninja Gaiden 4 gonna retain that level of difficulty?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has what it needs to be a Ninja Gaiden game. Say that. The only part that I would be like concerned for those that are really hardcore Ninja Gaiden players are like, oh, you know, I don't want it to be too easy. I was like, just don't pick easy. You know, don't pick easy. Go with the harder difficulties, or start with at least the standard difficulty. But I think it has just the right amount of challenge, and obviously there's higher tiers. So as you progress in the game, or as you know, beat the game, you'll have other opportunities to challenge yourself. It's a great game, in my opinion, for expressing yourself. I always use that term, expression. In fighting games, you probably know that whenever you land certain hits or certain combos, there's a thing that you do with that character that you're doing that you feel like you're expressing your own, you know, spice to whatever it is you're doing, you know, rather it be the combo or the way you do certain things. This sense of expression. And I think Ninja Gaiden as a you know, hack and slash game has a lot of that, and it's always had that in the past. So seeing that, especially if you guys have been watching a lot of the clips that have been going on, it's more of that. And I think that's very important, because the more you get used to the mechanics, the more you understand the game, the more you'll be like, man, like I want to do things this way because it just looks cool, you know. And I think a lot of people will enjoy that. There'll probably be some people like you, though. They'll probably just get their butts kicked for a little bit, and they might have to step away, you know, for those that are trying to just stay on the challenging modes. And then they'll probably hop back in and be like, you know what? All right. You know, that's part of his charm. He's like, you know what? I remember this last time. I'm not going to let it happen to me this time.
Yeah, no, that is what I love about the game. But I don't know if I've like accidentally overlooked this, so forgive me if I've like missed it completely. But is there a Ninja Gaiden 4 demo that's going to be available?
Nothing to discuss. There's no news or anything that I can't mention anything. That's basically, you know, no information.
That's cool, man. No worries. Yeah. And the last super chat is from Matt Ponton. Thank you for the $20, bro. Who's your favorite Bayman player?
My favorite Bayman player, Rakuto. Duh. I was like, that's number one right there, bro. My favoriteest.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think it was him that I played, but I had my first run-in with a good Bayman player, and he touched a death me, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on. It was crazy, but he's a pretty cool character design. But speaking of that, like I know you probably can't do anything about this, but I was really bummed out when I went on to DOA 5, and I saw this awesome Attack on Titan stage, but because I'm late to the party, I can't play it. Is there no way that I can get it on PlayStation?
No, there is no way, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, there is no way for you to get it. You'd have to have an account on your PlayStation, I believe, that has it on there. Yeah, there's no other way to get it, because the license, I think, ran out on that. So they have to be a renewal of license, which would require another business discussion, and it's an old game now, so it's highly unlikely, if I had to guess, you know.
No, fair enough. And how, if you don't mind me asking, just like to sidetrack, how did that come about? Because Attack on Titan is not something that I associate with DOA. How did that collaboration come about?
I don't know actually all the details, but what I do know is that Koei Tecmo, Koei Tecmo, for the people that don't know, Koei Tecmo is the main company that owns or has Team Ninja Studio. Obviously, Koei Tecmo has several studios like Omega, Team Ninja, Gust, and stuff like that. So they have several studios that work underneath that company. Koei Tecmo actually made an Attack on Titan game. So they made 2 games, I think, and several like updates to them. So I think somewhere in between these sudden opportunities, like why not have costumes and maybe even a stage? That's what I would guess, because they already have a partnership there. And it was probably an easy discussion to have to see if it was possible. So yeah, they had already made games within the company. So I think that was probably an easy way to include them in DOA.
Fair enough. Is there ever any discussion? I know everyone always talks about crossovers. Is there ever any like discussion about Ryu appearing in Neo or vice versa?
Well, Ryu technically has ancestors that come out in Neo, so there's always a Hayabusa in Neo, at least so far. In Neo 1, there's a Hayabusa, and I think it's Jin, and then I think in part 2 is Ren Hayabusa. So there's always a Hayabusa. It's never Ryu because of the timeline. The timeline is fairly like several years ago, but maybe Neo 3, who knows? Maybe another one, you know. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's always like a Ryu type character or a Hayabusa type character in there. As far as like, let's say William is like the most known character from Neo. William really hasn't made an appearance except out of Warriors All Stars, I believe. But it would be cool to have him in DOA. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the idea of making somebody's gonna take this idea. I'm gonna tell you this right now. The idea is to have a Neo fighting game. You know what I'm saying? And that would be really cool. You guys ever played or have you ever played Bloody Roar?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Bloody Roar is really cool. My brother got me into that one too, like really late in the game. But I was like, oh, this is a really cool game. So the reason I say that is because if you guys have played Neo 2, I know some people didn't get a chance to play Neo 3, but if you play Neo 2, you transform into like a yokai type thing. And I think that mechanic would be very reminiscent of Bloody Roar, but you would just be a yokai instead, you know what I'm saying? So you would have different forms and you would fight, you know, it would be weapon-based, kind of like Soul Calibur, and then you would just transform into a yokai. I think that would be really, really dope, kind of bringing back that element of Bloody Roar, but it would be, you know, Neo.
That is pretty cool. Do you think then if you're like floating the idea of a Neo fighting game, do you think there's a possibility that Neo characters could ever show up in a DOA game?
I would hope so. I would definitely toss the idea in there. I'd be like, why not bring one of these characters in there? Why not rather be William or the other character? What was the name? Hanzo or the female characters. So I was like, why not? You know, I think it makes sense within the company to like include your own characters and guest characters. But I know it's not always that easy. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, you know, managing each brand and what is it you want for that brand? What do you want it to look like? You know, so there's a lot of little intricacies that a lot of people don't think about that happen when making these decisions.
Is that how like these ideas come about? Like you might go into the office and be like, hey, why don't we do a Neo fighting game? And then it suddenly materializes. Like, have you floated that around before to people at Team Ninja?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's how ideas happen, honestly. Sometimes there's something that pops up and it seems like it makes a lot of sense, and then they look into it. And then sometimes, you know, after several discussions, maybe it's just not worth it. You know, it's just a matter of managing the overall, you know, in business, the risk and reward type of situation. You know, does it make sense? You know, what is the, you know, the overall, you know, response that we can expect, you know? So yeah, sometimes ideas just happen like that. I'm trying to remember the last idea that kind of happened like that. Actually, there's a lot of community things that happen, especially like back with even to DOA 4, like DOA 4 and DOA 5 and DOA 6. Sometimes it's like, oh, you know, it'd be cool to have, you know, a costume contest or a move contest. And that became a thing. Like that became an actual thing where people would submit their move and then it would be implemented into the game. And they made it a thing. And same with costumes. People would say like, this would be a really cool costume. They would draw it up and then it would be submitted. And then the team would take it in and make a vote and they would put it into the game. So these are all ideas that sometimes come from the community, but also internally, you know, we're bouncing around ideas like any other team would, you know, you just kind of brainstorming.
Yeah, no, that is really cool. And Neo, I never even thought to even think about Neo as a fighting game, but now you put that idea in my head.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I was like, you know what? We can make like a Bloody Roar out of this. Like, you know, that's just my head thinking.
No, that's an awesome idea, honestly. Like, hopefully one day they follow through with it and we actually get something out of it, or at least get them showing up in DOA games. I think that would be sick.
I would be happy if they even had like a beta version just internally. I'd just be like, all right, at least we tried.
Yeah, no, that would honestly be awesome. Like, I think people are gonna be talking about that constantly now.
Yeah.
I had another question from LKM. Thank you for the 199. Does Master get to play TN games early?
Yeah, I think that's not particularly new information. So I can share that a little bit. It just depends on the occasion. So if you guys remember, I'm not sure how many of you guys played Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which was released on everything, and it's currently on Game Pass. So if you guys have Game Pass, you guys can play it on there. But Wolong Fallen Dynasty was kind of like a Massacre Souls-like type of game, not exactly, but it had a lot of elements to it that are similar. So depending on the occasion and what's going on, I'll have to prep up, right? And I was at a media event for the team in San Francisco, and then I was at another event in Seattle. So I was at the Microsoft office in Seattle, preparing for this live stream that they were having because they were showcasing Wolong. So obviously I need to be familiar with the game and know what's going on. Now I didn't play it there at that time. I had a known influencer known as Fighting Cowboy, and he's very familiar with those types of games. And at some point there was a discussion to have me on there and play the game. But I decided, you know what, let's have him on there and keep him on there because I think it makes more sense for the community to see somebody within the community that likes these games to continue playing. Because me playing the game would probably be no surprise. But there was also another event that was not as public, but it was meant for media to cover. And I was in there, you know, just showing off the game like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. This is probably some things you want to know about that haven't been discussed. So yeah, I get to play some of the games early. I get to see some of the stuff that happens. And, you know, it's just part of, you know, being prepared for, you know, what's coming up and whatnot. So I know community management is like my official title. There's a lot of other things that I get to do or that I have to do that I normally don't discuss that are outside of community management.
Fair enough. I wanted to ask you, like, from doing like my research and going through your YouTube channel and speaking to some of the players, it looked like DOA was like one of the pioneers when it came to esports or like bringing fighting games to like for people to watch on TV. Is that something that like we could expect to see in the future of DOA? Because when I was going back and looking at these tournaments that you guys did back in the day, we don't really even have anything like that anymore.
Yeah, DOA was in a very unique position to have involvement in esports. The fact that it was even in World Cyber Games. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that this game was in World Cyber Games, in Evolution, in the Championship Gaming Series, in CPL. I think at some point it was like a side event or something like that, or maybe an official online event for MLG. There was another online thing that was primarily known for shooters. It was called CEVO, CEVO. It just blew up. And I think a lot of that had to do with the support that Microsoft was doing back then with the 360 and the Championship Gaming Invitationals and stuff like that. There was a lot of televised things. So it just got very popular very quickly. The first, I will say, prior to all that, World Cyber Games was actually the first back in, I think, 2004 or 2005, where they had Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate. I think it would be great to have more of those opportunities in the future. And if and when a new DOA does get announced, I think that would be cool to have some kind of partnership for players that are talented to kind of show that talent off and see how well they are in the world. Now, I think a lot of people forget that in fighting games or any game, they're kind of meant to just play for fun. That's what a video game is. And I think even though there is a lot of competitors, there needs to be something that caters to the players that we were at one point, the players that we were like, hey, this game looks fun, we play it, and then we get hooked. And I think that's important also. So that way that esports scene also grows. If there is a esports scene, even to begin with, Also, it was part of the IPL with IGN. It was almost in that. So DOA had a lot of, it was just at the right place at the right time a lot of the times. And of course we had really good personalities. We had personalities that was like, selling the game basically.
Yeah, because I went back and watched one of your videos a couple of days ago, and it was about like DOA was getting into the esports space, and you were basically like instructing players, don't answer question, or don't ask me a question where it's like, how much do you make as a gamer, or do you like getting paid as a gamer? And like you were trying to like, I guess, I'd say that train people, give them the right mentality to move forward with in terms of like going into esports.
Yeah.
And I think you dropped that video like 16 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I was talking about basically asking me questions about, how much you do this or whatever, or, what is it like or whatnot. Like, and I know it was like some kind of fantasy thing in the sense, the way I perceived it, because people would ask kind of like some silly questions from time to time. And it's like, they would think like, oh, you play video games for money. You play, you get paid to play. And it's like, no, I get paid to be the freaking best. That's what I get paid for, So it's like, it's not something that people just consider because you're playing a video game. But, just like anything else that, you're good at, rather it be basketball or chess, a game of chess, chess world championships, whenever you have a sponsor or whenever you're going through those moments, the whole idea is that if you're in esports, you're getting paid to be the best. You're not playing for fun, but you're really playing to see, who's the best today.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. How do you feel about where fighting games are in esports right now? Do you feel like they're in a place where that like you envisioned back then, or is there something that you envision different for fighting games? Because like I said, I watched quite a lot of your videos, so I could kind of get an idea of like you were quite passionate about it and wanting to move into a certain space. Are you happy with the way they're going, or do you feel like there's still a lot that needs to be done?
Actually, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with part of the FGC. I won't say the entire FGC, because I love fighting games because I grew up with them. And fighting games are probably the oldest esport or competitive game out there. It's like one of the oldest, you're talking about before shooters, before real-time strategy games. It's like the number one. It's like the very first one. Especially head to head, you can talk about, Donkey Kong and pinballs and all that stuff, but first head to head is fighting games. They've been around for so long. And that being said, I feel, and I could be wrong, but my perspective is we tend to have a very old mentality and a very old approach when it comes to change in the community. And sometimes you need to have certain change so you can move forward. And I think that's the part that's very difficult for some, because whenever you talk about change, you're like, what are you trying to change, or what's going on? Because this is the core part of the group, and this is how we've always been. It's like, and I understand that we've been growing and all that stuff, and I get that. But I'm disappointed because the fighting game genre and the fighting game community overall deserves better. Honestly, it deserves to be on top of games like Counter-Strike, on top of games like League of Legends. I think you guys deserve that attention, in my opinion. Taking the DOA hat off, taking off the Team Ninja hat on, just looking as a fighting game player, I think you guys deserve that because you guys are the originators of these competitions. And I think it's unfair that you guys don't get treated that way. And in some cases, I guess it depends, again, I'm just looking at it as a player, that's where I'm looking at it as right now. As a player, I just feel like you guys should have way more opportunities. I mean, think of the numbers that they have at Evo, just for the players that are going to be there, not just for one particular game. I'm talking about all the games. And I'm telling you from discussions that I've had probably 10 years ago, maybe, when I used to talk to the esports guys, the guys that, run like ESL and run like, ESEA servers and all that stuff that's going on. Those guys are like, competition like this in our space, unheard of. You will never see that many players ever, especially on a head-to-head. You're just not going to get those numbers. And to me, that only confirms that we deserve better, that we should have a better way to organize maybe, or a better way to have great player representation. That's always been my biggest issue, player representation. I think sometimes players don't get represented well. And I would hear horror stories about people getting dropped by sponsors like in seconds. And it was just not fair. And I think the fighting game players that are good, that are great, that are top, deserve a whole lot more. You guys should be superstars. In my opinion, you guys should be superstars. Now, for those that are not superstars, or those that are not getting that recognition, I am so happy to see way more personalities kind of evolve or change. I'm glad to see Justin Wong have a following on like YouTube and any other platform. I'm glad he has that because he deserves that. He's a player of that caliber, and same with Sonic Fox and same with anybody else that puts in the time, because these guys are players that sacrifice a lot of their time and energy to be the very best, and to only get a $5,000 paycheck and call it a day is bullshit to me. That's just me personally, because I'm passionate about it. So I just think you all deserve better. Honestly, I think you guys are supposed to be above all that. It's great to see bigger companies coming in. I think that's the right move. Capcom getting involved and all that stuff. I think that's right. And seeing the coverage, but you guys still deserve more. That's just my opinion. I don't know if players will group up together and make more changes, but honestly, guys, you guys deserve a heck of a lot more.
Do you think, is there any like one thing in particular a player could do to incentive or to like get their name out there to get tournaments to pay them out better? Like, is there something that players could do to sort of like take their brand to the next level so that we are reaching the Counter-Strike levels?
Yeah, I think right now from my perspective, again, this is just my opinion and my perspective, the way things have sort of changed and evolved, I think the best thing you can do, even if you're not a camera personality, is probably stream. Just stream content is king, is what I've been told by industry leaders. If you can make any kind of content, even if you're not on the camera, content is king. So stream your matches or your games or whatever it is, your competitions. Again, it doesn't matter if you're on there. They can hear you, they can see you play, they can see your coverage, whether it be vlogs, tournaments, just casual play, maybe just talking with friends, playing online. Just do more of that, because if we're gonna wait for like an association or whatnot, which there should be one, but if we're gonna wait for an association that's really official, that comes in and really like starts, saying, hey, these are players that you should be paying X amount of money because they're certain level or certain tier, I think you'll be waiting for a very long time if you're gonna wait for that. So I think doing the content stuff is the way to go, and being a competitor and also content creator. And I know that kind of clashes with people sometimes, because to some people, and I've experienced it firsthand growing up and meeting people, some people are like, well, I'm not fake. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that. I'm just here to compete. And I think that's great if that's your only goal. But if another player starts getting more opportunities because they're getting more viewership and they start getting more things, you may want to reconsider, because there's nothing fake about wanting to be successful. And sometimes you got to do things that you're just not used to, you know what I'm saying? And you just got to make those adjustments. So that's what I would tell you. If you're a new player, it's like, make some content, man, get in there. If you're uncomfortable on camera, don't be on camera. Just do some content, show people that, that you love this game. Even if you're not the very best, maybe you're talking about costumes, you're covering news about a certain title or certain genre, or maybe the entire industry. Again, I will tell you guys, from what I've heard, content is king, and that's the way you got to do it right now.
Is that something that you did on like in the lead up to you becoming a community manager? Were you just like, I know obviously you're at the tournaments, I can tell that like you're quite a charismatic person as well. Were you just like putting yourself out there constantly, and like one thing would lead to another, or did you like always have it in your head that you want to take being like a world champion, a good player, and take it to the next level?
That's actually a really good question, because early on, I was very much like that, in the sense of I just want to play. I just want to play. I just want to see how good I am. But I would have some close friends tell me like, hey, you should consider, being more of a community leader. It's like, be more involved with the community. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm all for community, but at the same time, I was like, I really want to get good. That's what my mentality was. But because of these close friends and people that were like mentors to me, they were just like, you should really consider doing more, because you have a voice. People are looking up to you more and more as you compete and as you play and as you win. And you should try to use that level of influence to inspire other people. And over time, I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, how do you grow? How do you grow as a community? How do you grow as a player if you're not trying to help other people grow? Like if your only reaction is after you lose or something like that is, oh, screw these guys, or screw this game, or, this needs to get patched or whatever. I don't think that's the right mentality. And I understand it can be very salty, for like losing something big. Right. But I think what I did was approach it that way, in the sense of like, all right, sometimes you're going to take an L, but take the L and just keep it moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I would do whenever when I was going into the thing. I would start off wanting to just be the best, but then I realized very quickly, especially with the opportunities we have, like World Cyber Games, like CGS and stuff like that. There's no way we can have more opportunity if we're not standing out of our, if we don't get out of our box here. You got to think outside the box and try to like do other things. And I think that's when it really clicked for me early on, because I would do crazy things. I would throw kicks. Like, I could tell you right now, this is actual true story. After CGI 2 and I did the jumping kick after winning, I got approached by some of the producers, and they're like, after you did that, we lost our shit. It's like that was the moment we were waiting for, because you got to remember there was other games there. You know what I'm saying? You had Counter-Strike. At one point we had Halo there. We edged out Halo. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you do that? And the way you do that was by trying to do other things besides just thinking about what's in the game. Yes, it comes at a risk, because you have to take your mind outside the game for a second. But I think it makes a lot of sense if you're trying to create more opportunity for other people. Because think about it. If I just went into these events and all I did was just sit there, have my controller, win, thank you, where's my check, and left, I don't think a lot of players would have gotten the opportunities they got. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm solely responsible, but I think it would be naive to think that didn't play a role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed the difference. Because I'm 33 now, so yeah. I've been around long enough to see the difference in how the FGC was then and how it is now.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to like sit there and shake hands and like go about your business, but it definitely feels like we're missing the level of personalities that we used to have. And going back and looking at DOA, I can definitely see what you mean when you're saying there's a lot of personalities. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys had Swoozy as well, who I
Yeah.
didn't know was a DOA player until he came on the podcast, and now he's got like 8 million subscribers.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
That is pretty insane. I had no idea. I knew who Swoozy was, but I went on your channel and I saw a video from like 18 years ago of you guys freestyle rapping.
Oh yeah.
After like an after party or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you don't really get those things anymore.
Exactly. And I think those things are important because it shows, this is gonna sound cheesy, but it shows the humanity in you. It shows that you are more than just this game. It shows that you are more than just this this category of a person that plays video games. You know what I'm saying? Back then, for those of you guys, I mean, I'm much older than everybody probably in this chat, but for people that don't know, way many years ago, the whole idea of anybody playing a video game would just assume that you're in a basement somewhere, you know? And I think part of me wanted to change a lot of things whenever I had an opportunity to try to display certain things. I wanted to change the fact that we're not all that people that are just in a basement, that we're not just, you know, these people that just look at a screen the whole time, and that DOA is a fucking great game. You know what I'm saying? You need to play it, you know, just check it out. So that was kind of my goals whenever I had those opportunities, because I wanted to make sure that there was future opportunities for more than just myself. I mean, other people.
Yeah. I've got a question here from Jabata. Thank you for the $10. Does DOA take place after Ninja Gaiden, or are they in between each other? Does DOA 5 and 6 use the Recon DOA Dimensions timeline, the original releases?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I actually I know, but I also don't know. I can't remember. That's the problem. I can't remember when they take place. I believe Ninja Gaiden Black, which is Ninja Gaiden 1, takes place before DOA because Hayane is really young in Ninja Gaiden Black. And then after that, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember their ages. That's really usually the easiest way to find out like what their ages were as they were growing up into the game.
So let's say, for example, like I guess because their universes are connected, they're in the same place. In your mind, would DOA 7 take place after Ninja Gaiden 4?
I know there wasn't a specific timeline. Actually, now that you mentioned Ninja Gaiden 4, there wasn't a specific timeline mentioned, just that several years have passed for Ninja Gaiden 4. There's not a specific number, I think, that has been said. I don't know where it would take place. If I had to assume, it depends, depending on what several years means. I would assume if it's a lot of years, then it probably happened before Ninja Gaiden 4. So yeah. So like, let's just say Ninja Gaiden 4 was like 20 years or something like that, as an example. It's like, I would assume DOA would probably be before that, because then all the characters would be like 20 years, you know, or 15 years or 10 years older, you know?
Do they take, because I'm still new to DOA, forgive me for like not knowing this, but do they take the stories quite seriously in the DOA games then? Because I've only played DOA 5 story.
I would say so, because that's what brings in the casual player. That's what brings in the casual audience. Like if they're not interested in playing ranked online, or maybe even playing online at all, they want some content. So I think they take it very seriously from the very beginning, from DOA 1, 2, 3. You know, back then there wasn't a whole lot, but the animation started getting better and better. And I think they take it very seriously, because it matters to those players that want to follow their story of, you know, rather it be Kasumi, Hayabusa, Honoka, freaking Janli, you know, all those characters. A lot of people resonate with those characters because of their fighting style or where they come from. And I think that's what makes fighting games in general really cool, because there's characters from every part of the world, you know, different regions of the world. And I think it's important to touch on those things. And I have no doubt that the team thinks those aspects are important.
Yeah, like one thing that I was super impressed with DOA 5 was I've been really complaining about Tekken 8 for the last couple of months or maybe a year now, with like very basic things missing from the game. And then obviously I got in, like me being like, okay, I'm done playing this for now, I'm gonna go find something else to play. That's why I discovered DOA 5. And when I went online, we set up a lobby, and then I noticed that like in the lobby you've got like tag battle, kumite, like all of these options. And this game came out eons ago now.
Oh
And
yeah, dude.
was the team was like very like ahead of the curve when it comes to packing a game full of online features.
Thank you for saying that. I don't think I don't think people understand how ahead of the curve freaking DOA was. I mean, you're talking about DOA 5 last round, right? Having Kumite, having tag battle, right? That game came out in what, 2012? You know, somewhere the original one did, I think, 2012. And go back behind that. Go back all the way back to 2004. Okay. 2004, over 20 years ago. This game had online tag battles, had online team battles, meaning you can do 4v4s if you wanted to, had Kumite, had survival. That means one player has to survive against every other player that's in that lobby. And had regular standard versus on top of changing the mechanics in the sense of like, do you want, you know, less life, more time, infinite time, that type of stuff. It was so ahead of its time. It was so ahead of its time. And as a fan of the franchise, it was disappointing to see people just kind of like, hey, you know, I don't play that game for XYZ reason. And I'm like, okay, because of the hold system or the characters or whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm going to still keep playing it because you guys are missing out. Like the stuff that's in this game is insane, especially for online components, you know, the fact that you had all those modes.
Yeah, I was shocked at like how like densely packed it was online, and I was also shocked at how I think it was DOA 2 Ultimate that I was looking at. Uh, it had like they had the tag mode, and then everybody had individual like tag throws together or like ways to tag people in, and that game came out ages ago. And then
Yeah.
I'm looking at games today, and I'm like, what happened? Like we've lost so much. The DOA had all of this shit in it. If you guys, if DOA 7 ever comes back, please tell them. Because I did a reaction video today to Maximilian because he was saying, how do we save Tekken? And he gave some suggestions in it. I haven't put the video up yet, but he basically gave some suggestions in that I don't think are going to help. I think that like Tekken, for example, it needs team battle back. It needs survival mode. It needs time attack. It needs a league or a kumite, and that all needs to be online. If you put it offline, it's useless because we've moved past that now. If DOA 7 ever comes back, please tell them don't cheap out on those modes because those modes went such a long way in my streams as well. Like we were just like, okay, we're done playing singles, let's play tag, or let's play kumite, or let's go do something else. And these modern fighting games don't have them anymore.
Let me ask you this, Mike, because you bring up something that, you know, I agree with. First of all, why would you want to try those modes? Why would you switch over to those modes when the core thing is in versus? Let's just say I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Why would you switch over?
Well, if I've been, say for example, because I do long streams with the community, sometimes we'll stream in a fighting game for 10 hours. You might enjoy the game, but there's only so many times you can play the same thing over and over again, especially like at my age. I'm like, you know, I have other things to do. Sundays was usually the day where I sit and play with these guys. And in like Tekken's case, for example, they put Tekken Ball in the game, and I was like, great, it's all the way back at the lobby. I can't access it. I have to tell my whole stream to leave. Let's walk all the way back to the lobby and at the back of the Tekken Lounge and access it when you could just put it in the lobby system. And the reason that I want these modes in there is that it gives the game more longevity. It makes it feel a bit more fresh. Like if I want to do a stream and it's just a tournament and it's singles, I can do that on DOA. If I want to do a stream and I'm like, today we're going to do tag teams, and not only are we going to do tag teams, but you've got to find a real life tag team partner because you can in DOA 5 you can be me and you versus like Hoodless and Nunchaku, and we can run that. And then that community building aspects of the game. And then if I don't want to do that, it's like, okay, we've got the best player in the world here. Let's do a kumite. Yeah. And I just feel like the game, there's more things to do rather than, okay, here's ranked. Right, you've got the highest rank. Go enjoy your day. Like it's just like, why is, even though fighting games, the main aspect is to fight each other, I feel like the ways in which we fight each other, like Virtual Fighter's got League. And I'm like, League is such a cool thing to have in a fighting game. It gives me something else to do with these guys. Like if I want to do a 5-hour stream, I'm like, whoever has the most points at the end of the 5 hours will win a prize. It'll just make people want to play your game more rather than just having the bog standard modes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that part that you talked about is what kind of highlights us as gamers. Like, not to say that, I mean, we're all casual gamers, you know what I'm saying? That's to some degree, right? And at some point, it's like we get bored or we want to try something different, just to change things up. And that's why I had asked the question, like, what would make you change that if you know what you're getting, right? You know what you're looking for. But that makes perfect sense. Sometimes people just want to try something different. And I think it is important. So if and when something like that comes up for, future DOA, I definitely I'm gonna push for that. Push for, making sure we have these modes and whatnot, or at least, making sure that the things that need to be said are said. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, this was gonna happen or whatever. I think this is important. I'm not sure what's involved outside of that, development wise, business wise, marketing, all that stuff. But at least those things will be said. You know what I mean? Because that's important. That's important to have. And I think that is kind of why I'm here. I am that bridge between the players and the developers, right? So whenever they say, oh, we should have this or whatever, we should have that, my task is to be like, okay, let's take that. Let's go ahead and put it in there. Sometimes people have colorful ways of saying things, but I make sure to cut that fat out and make sure that the team still gets that information, regardless of how colorful it is. And that's one of the things in my position is you got to have that thick skin and be like, yes, I'm a fan of these games. Yes, I'm a fan of what I do, but I also have to be understanding of like, these are passionate people and they're just as passionate as you, and they're just trying to voice their opinion. They're trying to voice their concerns, and we need to get that across. So I'm trying to make sure that bridge is always there for them. So that way those things are at least conveyed to the team in some form or fashion,
Yeah, I think one thing DOA has done that I really like is that it's got so many stages, and I'm still discovering, like, someone will, like, when I was playing Hoodless, and I couldn't hit him. He was just throwing me around, and then he threw me out of a window, and I like toppled down the stairs, and I was like, oh, that was really cool to look at. It was like watching an old Chinese martial arts film. And I hope that DOA doesn't scale those things back, because it makes playing the game it makes it more fun for me, because I'm like, there's always something to discover. I'm getting beaten up, but I'm also watching this like cinematic piece. And we don't have that in other fighting games, really. I really like, because I haven't played DOA 6 too much. DOA 5 is my only real frame of reference. I just like how packed with content it is, and I didn't know any of the characters outside of Ryu and maybe Kasumi, because like, those are the two you see everywhere. And I hear this thing constantly from people that play fighting games, where it's like, what character is going to save this game? And I'm like, if your game is shit, there's no character that's going to save it. It's over. Like, you need to invest in the infrastructure and like the kind of like the world building, or like the stages or whatever. And I feel like DOA did a fantastic job with that, because I still don't know the story behind loads of characters. But watching them fly through walls, or like fall off bridges, or like these specific interactions with the whole mechanic where like someone will jump at you and then they'll throw you off. I'm like, this shit is really cool. I feel like I'm watching like a Shaw Brothers film or something.
Yeah. It gives you that sense of like you're watching, these martial arts films. And everybody's always said that. That's funny that everybody's talked about how it looks like very cinematic as you play the game, and it feels very intuitive. The saying goes around with DOA is that it's easy to pick up, very hard to master. And I agree with that, because the mastering part is understanding your opponent's pattern. It's a lot of pattern recognition and understanding what their habits are, and when they're going to change their habits. So I think DOA does that very well. On top of the animations are just really good, so it makes it feel really good. And I agree with you. I think the team, if and when it decides to come back to this, I think it's important that they keep those types of stages, so that way when you're getting beat up or you're beating somebody else up, you can see there's something to look forward to. It's like, oh damn, you went over this log and now you continued a different combo, or you fell off the skyscraper and he hit a couple of signs on the way down. That's kind of interesting. You don't see that in a lot of other games, and to see the fight continue in a whole different area now is really cool. I'm a big fan of DOA because you're not always in a box. And that's kind of like the standard for fighting games, right? The standard is be in a box and then just figure it out from there, And that's what I like about DOA. It's almost like not an adventure game, but you're exploring while you're fighting.
Yeah, I would set myself up to get knocked through a wall just to see how it's gonna look. Like those sort of things go a long way in fighting games. It does feel like everybody's sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, and there's strategy to it too, right? Like it doesn't just happen, there's strategy to it that's involved, a thought process. You have to position yourself there, or someone has to position you there, so that way those things happen, so it's not something that's just like out of control.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like overpowered in DOA.
Did I lose something here? Did we get disconnected? Well, it's now my show, guys. Obviously, I've rigged the whole thing here for me to take over. So now that it's no longer my Hollow show, this is Master's show. Welcome to the stream. I hope you guys are having a great day. I think he's having some technical difficulties. Hacked Hollow. Yeah, exactly. I am now Master Hollow. If you guys are just tuning in for the very first time, we're talking about the greatest fighting game of all time, Dead or Alive. Officially sponsored by this very YouTube channel. Just so you guys know, this very YouTube channel that you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe. You know, be a part of this movement of Dead or Alive being the best fighting game ever to exist on planet Earth. You know, maybe Mars will be a different game, but on Earth, it's this game. Okay. You know, but if you guys have questions, go ahead and shoot me some questions. I'm reading the chat. I'm trying to read the chat. Somebody says, please tell us more about NG4. I cannot tell you more about NG4. That hasn't already been said. So just stay tuned for a lot of the stuff that comes out in the official channels for Team Ninja Studio. If you guys are not following Team Ninja Studios, follow it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or they're on everything. They're on everything. So check it out.
I can't believe this. I got kicked out of my own damn stream.
I know, man. Hey, don't rage quit, bro. I got you here, though. I was able to put the stream on my shoulders, and I got you. You know.
No, I appreciate it. I don't know what happened. I don't know, because I've got Virgin Media. They've been pissing me around lately, so it might have been like something temperamental. But I apologize about that. Sorry that you had to hold it down.
It's okay, man. It happens, man. It happens. I've done a couple of streams myself, and I know sometimes things unexpectedly happen.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot to me lately, but I can't remember what I was asking you now. Shit, I've forgotten. It was something about the stages, but how are you still good on time? I know that you haven't.
Yeah, I'm still good. I'm not sure if you had gotten my message. I may have a little bit of extra time. Just depends on what pops up on my end over here because we started a little bit earlier.
Okay, yeah, no, that's cool, man. Yeah, I've got a very early start tomorrow as well, so it kind of all worked out. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you then. So, are you still like playing? Because I saw you upload a match with you and Hoodless. Are you still playing it competitively then?
No, so some people may not know this. When I remember during the transition from competitor to community manager with the team, there was kind of an understanding that I would not be competing anymore. So basically, I was forced into retirement, guys. You guys are lucky right now. You guys are so lucky. But yeah, that was kind of one of the understandings that, hey, you know, competition would probably not be an option anymore. Not to say that that can't change. That potentially could change, but for now, that's kind of the agreement of just being like, hey, you know, you're a community manager. You obviously want to promote these things, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I was at a point where I was like, I don't know what I want to do as far as competition wise. Like I still enjoyed it, but I knew I didn't have as much time as some of the up and coming players as well. So I was like, I can't commit myself like they can, and I'm trying to see what I want to do. And I was still doing a little bit of content at the time. I had done the Hayabusa combo videos. If you guys hadn't seen that, check it out if you guys get a chance. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with Shoryuken, but those combo videos actually were featured on Shoryuken at some point when I released them. But I was at a point where I was trying to figure out basically what I wanted to do next, and I had already known that there may be an opportunity for me to come in, and I just wasn't holding my breath. I never really bothered the team about it. I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal. But I had to figure out what I was going to do next. So when the opportunity finally presented itself, I was like, I think this makes the most sense. This makes the most sense to transition over. Me not being able to compete, that's totally fine. I think it's time to spotlight these other players as well in a more dedicated way, not just like on the side whenever I have time type of thing, or whenever somebody else has time, to kind of spotlight all these, you know, these players and these franchises, DOA, Ninja Gaiden, etc. So I play it from time to time. I definitely don't play it as much as I used to, but it's like, you know, riding a bike, right? Like you have so many years. I have so many years with this game or this franchise, and I obviously have a ton of years with Hayabusa. So losing that knowledge is just a matter of like, well, losing the knowledge is not going to happen. That's number one. It's just remembering it. It's just a matter of just playing a few games and warming up and be like, oh yeah, I remember this now, you know? So I enjoy playing it still. And I like playing Hoodless because Hoodless obviously is really, really, really good player. And I've played him for a very long time too. So it's always good to like get on there with some friends. And I know all the players. So it's that's one of the connections that I'm very grateful for, to have, you know, connections with not just casual players that people like, you know, they like to cosplay, like to draw, but also the hardcore players, the top players that are known for being some of the best.
Yeah. If you had one fighting game franchise that Team Ninja could acquire and take all their characters, which one would you pick?
Oh man, that's a good one. A franchise or an IP, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, like let's say, you know, Bloody Raw, Tekken, Mortal Kombat,
Yeah,
Soul Calibur.
I think it would be cool. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a two-part answer here. First part would be, I would like to see them take over the granddaddy of DOA, which would be Virtual Fighter. I would like them to take over that, just to see how that would turn out. You know, a Virtual Fighter, but you know, with the DOA team behind it. It just feels like it's a really cool idea, because they're both come from the roots of it come from the same parts. And I think that would be interesting to see Virtual Fighter in that light, the way that would play out. Now, the Virtual Fighter could very much be going down that route anyway, you know what I'm saying? Because they haven't showed a whole lot of the new game, but I think it would be really cool. But I think IP-wise, it would be really cool to see, outside of fighting games, for us to take over like a DC or a Marvel characters, and have us create those games, you know, fighting game like that. I don't think there's ever been a 3D Marvel game, fighting game. I think there's been a DC one, right? If there was like DC versus MK or something like that. But it would be cool to see us pull it in with, you know, the knowledge and the expertise that we have to give it its own flair, kind of like how they're doing right now with Arc Systems with that Marvel game. I'd like to see our team take on that kind of task for a 3D fighter.
Yeah, that would be sick. I've always imagined, for some reason, I think maybe because of Strider, I've always imagined Ryu showing up in like a Marvel versus Capcom game.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever like floated an idea like that, like a tag anime sort of like team fighting game?
I don't think so. I don't think that's ever came up. Not that I'm aware of. Not to say that it can't happen. The discussion can't happen, but I don't remember hearing anything like that.
I know that you're quite good at other fighting games. I heard people saying that you're pretty good at Mortal Kombat. I know you can't compete in DOA anymore, but was there ever like a time where you're like, I'll go win another fighting game tournament, and then on stage tell everyone that DOA is the best game?
Just throw something out there. It's like, this game is not as good as DOA. Yeah. Actually, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Actually, I'm actually not that great at Mortal Kombat. Actually, I was decent at Mortal Kombat X. Maybe I tinkered around with it, and I enjoyed it. I'm probably more proficient in like Street Fighter. I do enjoy Street Fighter still. I play Akuma for those of you guys that are curious. And I do enjoy it. I have thought about it. I remember when Killer Instinct came out, I thought about taking up Killer Instinct seriously, and just doing that. But honestly, the reason I don't do it, and I know some of you guys are going to think it's kind of interesting, but I've done the pro stuff. Like, I've done my time. You know, I've done the stuff, anything I wanted to do, I've done, from national championships to world championships. I'm even in one of the books of Guinness World Records. I've been on everything. You know, I've done a lot of different things, and I don't think there's much else that I really need to do or prove to myself. You know what I'm saying? I still have that competitive edge where I do want to like compete and just to see online or whatever, see how I do. But I think overall, I just don't have that time to do that. I want to do some other stuff. So from time to time, for people that don't know, from time to time, I'll do some edits. So I do editing sometimes within the team, you know, and I've done other smaller projects outside of the team, not even related to the team, where I've done an edit for Smug the Beast. So you guys, I'm not sure how much of you are familiar with him, but I've done some of his videos for his channel. So I'm big into editing, video editing. So I do that, and I've done that with the team as well. And I've even put some of the content that you see today from the various franchises on Team Ninja come from me sometimes. So I'm big into that. I'm learning other things, you know, on top of editing. So there's other things that I'm trying to explore, because the competition is cool, but when you're not the very best and that's the only thing you got, like, in other words, you're not doing content, you're not doing anything else, the drop off is very fast. So that's my recommendation, is do content or do other stuff, on top of trying to be the best, because the drop off is very quick, and you start to find this like void in you, like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Like, all I knew was compete. Like, you're almost like a soldier, right? You're just trying to be the best. You're trying to find out the latest strat. You're trying to find that hidden frame that'll help you get that edge. And then you go that to just cold turkey. It's hard. So that's why I'm trying to apply those skills of like learning quickly and applying myself to other things.
I know that if you guys drop a DOA 7, though, that's going to kill you inside to not fight these guys.
It didn't kill me too much when DOA 6 dropped, actually. So I was already basically in retirement at that point. So I was more excited than anything else, just to see people play the game and see what it had to offer, all the different tweaks and whatnot. So even if a new one does come out, I'll just be just as excited, because I know this with every DOA game, because I've been a part of DOA for such a long time. There's always a new blood that comes in, and I'm always interested to see how they behave, how do they play, how do they do certain things, how do they approach the game, what are their concerns, what are their complaints. There's always a new wave and a new set of fans that like either the existing characters or new characters, and it's always good to see that stuff, to see what they have to talk about. I think one of the things that's kind of interesting is there's always going to be something. There's no such thing as a perfect game. I think people understand that. I don't think anybody looks at a fighting game or any game and says this is the perfect game, because if you say there's a perfect game, that means you're telling me that things can't get any better, because that is perfect. You know what I mean? So because of that, I understand that some people will be like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's like, but it's always a thing about, but what does the majority overall like enjoy? Like, you may not like certain things, like maybe it's a character or move or whatever, but outside of that, what do you think? What I'm saying? Sometimes people focus too much on the problem, and they're just kind of like, oh, I really don't like this character, or I really don't like this storyline, or whatever it may be. It's like, okay, but outside of that, do you enjoy it? It's like, well, yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome game. But they're just focused on this one thing. It's like, okay, I get it. Some people really enjoy that one thing that you don't like. So it's just a matter of like seeing, the overall picture, and seeing if people get that and how they react to that. So I'm looking forward to that when it happens, So I don't think I will be that. I don't think it'll kill me that much, because I could always still play with them. All the players, they all know me. Some of them know me by my very first name. They got my phone number. So if anything ever comes up, they're just a phone call away.
No, it's good that you have that connection with the community, because there are other fighting game communities that feel very disconnected, and they don't feel like their wants and needs are heard. So it's nice to know that you kept that connection with the community. But I wanted to ask you, if there is a DOA 7, what is a change that you would like to see for DOA going forward? Whether that's like gameplay or predominantly gameplay and mechanics. What is one thing that you'd like to see different for DOA 7?
Oh man, well, I've always had a lot of different ideas for DOA in general. I'm a big fan of the casual content, because the hardcore content being like online ranked and the various modes, I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere. I think that's established that needs to be there, because it's the foundation of any fighting game. I always look to other fighting games on top of just not just our fighting game, but other fighting games, to see what they have. What is the core foundation of a fighting game? You got a story mode or arcade mode. You have, usually like a time attack or a side mode, like a survival or whatnot. And obviously you have online, which has like versus ranked and unranked. That's like the foundation with good online netcode and all that stuff, right? You have to have that. That's not going to go anywhere. So to me, it's one of the things that I think would be cool to add, but also change. The add portion would be like add other, fun modes, like maybe I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm not saying this is like the direction I would say, but I'm just throwing ideas out there. Like maybe you have a soccer mode or something like that, where the characters are playing soccer or something like that. It doesn't have to be a full-blown soccer game. It's not FIFA. We're not that. But the whole idea is that you have something that you play, and you use some of the moves that you do in the fighting game to do that, or maybe you have like a certain like time bomb thing, where it's like, it's not about the skill level, about who has the biggest combos or how much life you're taking away. It's about who has the bomb last when the time runs out. It's not about dying. It's about who has that last. So who touched who last? Things like that, just so people can be like, let's play this mode just for fun. Let's just have a little bit of fun with it. And as casual players play that, psychologically they don't know that they're learning the game. What I'm saying? He's like, yeah, you're playing a casual game, but overall you're like, what? I'm starting to get kind of good at this game. Maybe I will go online. Maybe I will play ranked match. So anything that helps on-ramp them to become a really hardcore player not just competitively, but as a hardcore fan. You know what I'm saying? That I think would be really cool to add to the game. To change, I would think I'm a big fan of tinkering around with the idea of changing how the hold system works a little bit. And obviously balancing the attacks and throws along with it. So one of the things that I thought would be really cool, and this is just me thinking out loud again, like this is something that I always thought was cool. So the whole system, for those of you guys that are not familiar with it in DOA, there's strikes, there's throws, and there's holds, and they all beat each other out. It's a triangle system. It's like rock, paper, scissors is what people use as a comparison. I always thought that the whole system, in some cases, can feel a little too rewarding depending on where you were. Not like if you're in an open field, the whole system is fine. But let's just say you're by that window, you break through and you fall down. That can feel a little bit strange because it's like, wow, that's like a lot of damage that just kind of came out of this one move. And to me, I felt like, well, the whole system actually has 3 different hit statuses, right? Everything has 3 different hit statuses when you think about it. There's regular hit, counter hit, and then high counter hit. And when it comes to holds, the holds are based off of the time that you land the holds. So if you landed within the first 2 frames, I'm trying to remember if it was ever just the first frame, but for sure for a long time, the very first 2 frames of that active window, you would get a high counter hold. Anything outside of that would become counter hold. And then like, I would say about 8 frames, I believe, after that window would be just regular counter hold. So I'm not sure how many of you guys knew that, but that is an actual thing. So in other words, if you would just spam hold and you got it towards the end of the frames, you would just get a regular hold, which means your damage was scaled lower. That's how it worked. My idea, or the idea that I think would be cool, would be that if you just spam the hold and you got it at the end, that you actually wouldn't get damage. It would just be a parry. It would just move them out the way. So because you spammed it, you really weren't doing an educated guess, or you weren't really paying attention to your enemies or your opponent's pattern. You were just kind of like hoping to grab something. You wouldn't get rewarded as much because you weren't really strategically using that correctly. You know what I mean? You still get rewarded because you get a parry and you get maybe some advantage, but you wouldn't get actual damage, right? And then you would get the actual counter hold, which would actually give you damage. And then the high counter hold would give you even more damage. But I would even go a step further and change the animation to high counter for high counter status. So in other words, like let's say you had a mid punch counter for doing a regular counter hold. The high counter would be like a launcher into a punch or something like that, because the animation would change to let you know and let the opponent know and the viewer know that you landed something that's a little bit more special than what you landed previously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it kind of makes sense to me. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the mechanics, but I do like the fact that it's not easy to jump into. I mean, it's easy to play. I can pick it up and have a great time, but actually learning it requires a lot of practice. What was I going to say? I forgot my question. Damn, it was about the gameplay. I did see someone in there saying that you were talking about casual modes. Would there ever be a world where DOA 7 could feature like a volleyball mode?
I don't see. Okay, so again, I'm big for casual and I'm big into hardcore. I've been a part of all of that. So I just want to make that clear. I don't see why we can't have it in there with the whole cast. You know what I'm saying? Why not have it with the whole cast, but be a volleyball mode? You know what I'm saying? Be a whole thing, you know? Now, I don't know how much effort would be put into something like that if it actually were to happen. Obviously a certain amount of development would still have to go into it, but again, that's why I kind of threw the idea of soccer too. You know, it's like volleyball, soccer, or something simple, you know, to put in there so people can play, you know, with their favorite characters in the costumes that they've already purchased for DLC. It's like, that's even more incentive to like get this costume for Hayabusa, or get this costume for Janli or Kasumi or Lei Fang, you know what I'm saying? And then just use them online in whatever, you know, game lobbies that you're in. And then also use them on these specialty modes. You know, it's like, oh, I get to see it over here in this other mode, you know? I'm not against the idea personally. I think, you know, it just adds to the overall package. Again, going back to the core foundation of what a fighting game is, you have all those modes and then you have that as extra.
And like recently, there's been a lot of people that are like unhappy with their particular fighting games, whether it be MK, Tekken, not so much Street Fighter, but just in general, there's a lot of like, I'd say a lot of unhappy fighting game players right now. And I've seen some people like looking around for another fighting game. That's how I obviously found DOA. What would you say to like people that played Tekken a lot, or Soul Calibur or Mortal Kombat? What would you say to them to get them into DOA, where they might have previously looked at and been like, I'm not gonna play this?
if they're coming from a different fighting game, I'd always tell them that, you know, especially if they're competitors, right? They're like people that are competitive, rather it be offline or online. If they take the game even slightly serious, I would say, listen, dude, you're really good at fighting games. Obviously, you're playing this other game at a decent level or a high level, and this game will make you feel like no other game will make you feel. Like you will feel like a young god in this game if you just understand the mechanics. And the more you get used to it, the more fun you're going to have with it, because you're going to basically be able to predict a lot of your opponent's moves in a way that you would never do in another game. And if you enjoy that and you like that reward system, this is the game to play. And it's going to look beautiful while you do it. You know what I'm saying? So not only are your reads going to feel good, the game is going to look good, and it's going to make you look good as you play it. So that's what I would say. I would say, like, you know, play the game, dude. You're going to enjoy it. You're already good at this other game. You're going to look even better at this game. You know, it's just because the game just flows that way. It's just a matter of getting past the initial hurdles. And I think some of the initial hurdles is usually around the hold system. And once you get to understand the whole system, I think people are a little more lenient to it. They're like, oh, okay. Because there's been a lot of adjustments to the whole system. Some people may not know that because maybe the first DOA game they played was DOA 2 or 3 or even 4. But there's been adjustments since then. Since Dimensions, they've been adjusting it. So Dimensions had an adjustment. DOA 5 had an adjustment. I think in 6, they made another adjustment. So it's just a matter of understanding that, hey, you know, some of these complaints that people had from all levels have actually been heard, and some things have been adjusted. It's just a matter of going back to trying it out, you know?
Are Team Ninja aware of how many people want DOA Dimensions ported to current consoles? I mean, even in the chat, they've been going on and on about DOA Dimensions. Is that something that you guys ever speak about, or is it a possibility that it could ever come to like modern consoles?
I'm fighting that battle internally every day, guys. I want DOA Dimensions. I want DOA Dimensions to make it to a console. I feel like primarily to explore it with a lot of people, because you can't really explore it anymore because of the whole Nintendo thing. And even if you did, like, you would have to have a 3DS. And I know there's an emulator out there that people are tinkering around with, and, you know, people are slowly but surely starting to play online with it. But it just makes sense to have an official release for that title, because it did do a lot of things differently that other DOA games didn't. Starting with the hit statuses that I was talking about. They didn't go the route that I'm talking about, but it did change a lot of different things on how that worked. And the environments were really cool, and some of the aspects that it had. And I would be very curious to see where else it can go. So I'm hoping maybe one day it will, but I know there's Nintendo's involvement because Nintendo was the publisher. So you have to take that into consideration as well.
Does that, Nintendo being the publisher, I imagine that creates like a massive hurdle for you guys?
Yeah, it's like, you know, just more red tape you have to get through, you know?
So my sisters came home.
Okay.
I was screaming outside the door.
I was like, is that my place?
No, it's just, I'm going to scream at her in a minute. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I never got to play Dimensions. So is that one of the more popular ones then? Because even when I'm streaming, people are like, when I mentioned that you were going to be on here, they're like, speak about Dimensions, talk about Dimensions. Is that like the most popular DOA game that's like not had like any sort of re-releases or touch-ups?
Yeah, it is one of the, I don't know what the right word or term would be. I'm not sure how popular that game is overall. I just think people want to try it out because it's not available anywhere else. It never was released on any kind of console or PC officially. So I think people just want to get to try it because there's a lot of things that are in there that people want to try out. Basically, they didn't get it anywhere else. Like even the boss characters, like Genra is a boss character that's never been playable ever, and it's the only time he's actually playable in the game. And he has a weapon on top of that, so he's not necessarily weapon based, but he does have a weapon in there. So that's a little bit different. And then the stages too are different, you know. And then they have Samus. There's a Samus stage in there. I would assume that if it got ported, the Samus stage would have to get removed. But
yeah.
Still, like, there's just things that happen on there that were just a little bit different. It's a full-blown DOA game, honestly, and I think people just want to play it, and I don't blame them. I think it's a really cool game. I think it's a good game. I don't know how balanced it is. Again, that would have to go back to like having so many people play the game together and see how it works out. But it does have some interesting mechanics that weren't really there in other games.
Well, you could replace the Samus stage with like a God of War stage or something.
You
Just
could, you could
yeah,
another
just bring it.
partnership or just something different, obviously. But I'm pretty sure Nintendo wouldn't have it in there anymore.
Yeah, no, yeah, because I see people talking about it all the time, and I would love to get to play it. I didn't even know that it was on 3DS, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be it would be cool to bring it back. Somebody in here had a really good question, but I can't find it. It's gone missing. Was there any questions that you had at all, like about anything?
I guess my question would be why anybody that's here right now, I would assume that majority of your audience is probably fighting game audience, right? Like they play fighting games and they're familiar with them. If you're familiar with DOA or only have heard of DOA, what is your perception of DOA overall as a fighting game? Not where it is currently. I know people are talking about like, oh, hasn't been an update or anything like that. We understand that. But that aside, what is your overall perception of DOA? And why do you think it is that? Like let's say your perception is, oh, it's an easy game. It's like, why is it an easy game? Who told you it was an easy game? That type of thing. What kind of answers does your community have for my question in the sense of what is your perception of Dead or Alive?
That's a good question. I mean, for me personally, when I was coming into DOA, I only played it in passing at arcades, or like when they had consoles set up at the arcades as well, when we had the Xbox set up. And I always saw PPP KKK, and I was always like, so it's only what, like, how does this work then? Because I was coming off Tekken.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when Tekken, when you come from Tekken, like you have this idea that everything has to look like Tekken as 3D. So I didn't give it the time of day that I should have. But having played it, I quickly realized, okay, this is really like quite intense. And it's actually a little bit harder to learn than I thought it was going to be. Like actually much harder to learn like general combo routes, because I found that if you're like very monotone in the way that you play, you're just going to get thrown about. Like they'll realize straight away you're doing a high or a low or whatever, and they'll hold you. So yeah, that was my biggest hurdle. I'll be honest with you, I think the thing that put me off the most initially was I don't know what it's called. Is it like Venus or something?
The Venus Vacation thing?
Yeah. Initially I was like, it was maybe something like that, or maybe or volleyball. I got confused because I wasn't playing and I didn't know I thought DOA was a fighting game.
Yeah.
So that was initially mine, but obviously those were just things where it's like you're not really paying attention. So I don't know if anyone else experiences that.
I see. I can see how that can happen though. That's an interesting point of view. Like if you're hearing about DOA, let's just say you're hearing about it for the very first time, right? And they're like, oh yeah, Dead or Alive, the fighting game, check it out. And then you're looking for it, and then the other one pops up. I can see how that can be confusing, because then you're like, what is this about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was there any anything that you wanted me to pull out in the chat to put on screen to address at all? Because I did see you looking at the chat.
Yeah. Let me see. I like how people are saying that, it has the best looking animations, best stages, best mechanics. It's just the best game, guys. I'll keep telling you guys. Yeah, I don't know why people don't believe this.
It is really good. Yeah, if you guys have any questions as well off the back of that, send them in and I'll try to pick them out.
You got the best bounce of all fighting games. That's a W in my book. Listen, for me, when it comes to stuff like that's related to, some of the early marketing things that, not even some of the early markets, it's the marketing of the game. To me, it's like it's a game at the end of the day. I think you should enjoy it whichever way you can. Also, obviously, ultimately, it is a fighting game, and that's its priority. So I don't think anybody should feel like any type of way for like enjoying the fighting game for what it is, and having really a great looking cast with great environments with great mechanics. It's like, enjoy it, dude. Like, but I know to some people that can be like a little bit off-putting. But I'm telling you from my experience, like I play with Hayabusa. That's the character I've stuck with for years, like 20 plus years at this point, I think. And so I'm in it for the mechanics, the story, the great cast and all that stuff. I see everything that the game has to offer. So I think my recommendation for people that are kind of like concerned is like, try it out, man. I'm telling you, try it out. Pick a character you think that gels well with you, and I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
I've got one here from KC. What combo system or fighting game mechanics would you like to adopt into DOA if you could steal them?
kind of combo mechanics. Oh man, I think overall for me the combos in any fighting game, because it always goes down to juggles, right? Especially in 3D fighting games. It's always it comes down to juggles, and it's just a matter of how you execute those juggles and how easy they may be or how hard it may be to execute specific juggles. I think there just needs to be an opportunity for every player to go the route that they want to. It goes back to what I was telling you earlier, Mike, where it's like DOA is a great game, or especially fighting games too, but DOA as well, to express yourself. Like there needs to be a way for you to express yourself, and anything that adds a mechanic that helps you do that more, I'm all for. One of the ideas, again, this is just an idea that I had thought about. In DOA 6, you have this break blow mechanic, right? So the break blow mechanic allows you to do this like very nice animation that either does a very powerful kick or punch, or even a fireball type thing almost. And it's cool, but you have an opportunity to cancel it, right? And I always thought that it would have been cool to cancel that, but be very fast about it. Like, in other words, you would cancel and maybe a puff of wind will come out towards the direction you're going to show you that you're going into that next combo. Instead of stopping them midway, just be like, boom, go into the next thing and then continue whatever combo you want to do, because that would give you more opportunity to do what you think is best, but also it wouldn't stop the flow of combat. And I think that's my issue right now with the current system, is that whenever you do the break blow and you cancel it out, it kind of breaks the flow of combat, you know? And I think anything that keeps things moving forward very nice and smoothly, I'm more for than trying to like slow things down because of whatever reason. I think that would have been cool. Kind of like a, what do they call it? I think in Guilty Gear or something they have that, or in, let's just say, Dragon Ball Fighters, right? Dragon Ball Fighters, you can be doing a combo and then you go into Spark, right? And you go into Spark into something else. That's the way I would kind of treat break blow. So it just flows a little smoother, and I think it would look even better. But that's just an idea.
I really think that DOA is like the ultimate chat shit to your friends kind of game, because you can just stand there, and if you know what they're gonna do, you can just slap them out the way, throw them out the window. It's pretty good. Do you think that contributed to you guys, like, to your personalities when you're playing the game? Because when I'm playing it, I feel like I'm using Goku when I know what I'm doing. It's just Ultra Instinct on everything.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to tell you that. I was like, you feel the Ultra Instinct. That's what DOA does, man. DOA gives you that Ultra Instinct feeling. For those of you guys that are not familiar, that's a term that comes from Dragon Ball. But yeah, Ultra Instinct is basically being able to go into the flow of things without even thinking. You're just in there. You're in the zone. It's probably the best way to describe it. And I agree with you. I do it all the time on my stream sometimes. I'll be like, don't do this, don't do a low. And then they do a low, and then it's like, it's there. And then you're just making really good reads, and you get the hold from those attacks, and it just feels really good. So I think it does add a little bit to your personality. And I think the characters go a long way too, you know. Hayabusa as a character, I think, is cool for me because of he's like a very stoic kind of character. He doesn't talk a whole lot sometimes. And sometimes he's a little cocky, you know what I'm saying? And he's just kind of like, you know, don't attack me, you know, don't waste your time, you know? And I like that about him. He's kind of like straight to business, but also can make things look flashy by doing Izuna drops or whatever. So I like it. I like it. It gives me time to, as you're spinning down with Hayabusa, I can just say something to you like, that's what you get for doing that.
Yeah. I've got a question here from Wolfsbane. He said, what's the mechanic you'd want removed from DOA?
I would definitely want to remove, this is just me, maybe. I know some people may want it still there. I would remove the mechanic that limits your sidestep attack. I think that should probably be removed. I probably would remove sidestep attack entirely, honestly. And obviously not make it cost meter in general. I know regular sidestep doesn't cost meter, but the sidestep attack does. But I would remove that. I don't have that much of an issue with meter, rather it be displayed or not displayed. And what I mean by that is previously in DOA 5 last round, you technically had a meter. It's just you didn't see it until midway. So again, I think rather you have the meter or don't have the meter. I think what matters is what you do with that particular special mechanic, rather it be a super move or whatever. But I would definitely remove the sidestep attack thing. And I would just improve on the sidestep alone. The sidestep on its own, improve it to make it a little bit better. I know some people had an issue with not having meter for sidestep attack because the sidestep attack would always hit any linear move. And in my opinion, That's what it's supposed to do. You're doing a linear move, you should get hit anyway. But apparently there was some issue with that, and it got adjusted. And I personally think it should just get removed entirely and just improve on the sidestep alone. So that way you can decide what move you want to actually do instead of having a cannon move to it. That's just something I think I would remove.
No glitching asked, do you see DOA ever going the Tekken / Dragon Ball Z route, giving characters broken mechanics like projectiles and other neutral breakers / skips?
It's funny you mentioned that because Dimensions was the first one that brought in projectile. So for those of you guys that never played Dimensions, Raito was in there, and I believe Raito had a projectile in there. And Hayabusa actually had a projectile in there. But the projectiles in the game or in DOA, they have projectiles now with Mai and Raito. But the projectiles in DOA are so slow or so weak, and the recovery is generally so long that it usually doesn't play a huge role. I don't see that being implemented in any kind of way unless it's part of an animation already, like let's say a power blow or a break blow. That's already kind of like part of this big thing that already hit you. So I don't think that will ever be implemented in that sense. I don't think it feels natural in the game. I can't think of a way that they would do that. So I don't see it going down that route.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that because Tekken's been going down the Shonen Jump route and people are not happy with it. So it'll be nice to get back to a time where we're just throwing hands at each other rather than throwing or pulling out guns or it gets a bit much. Like you're just oh god, someone's shooting a rocket launcher at you from across the screen. What would you say then? Because I know that this is kind of off topic from DOA. What's your favorite Tekken game?
Tekken game?
Yeah, because there's a lot of dissension right now with Tekken 8, and I know we're talking about DOA, but just to get an idea of where your head's at with these fighting games, because there's a lot of people that are against where some of these games are going. So what is your favorite Tekken?
Well, I'm telling you, man, Tekken is not a game that I normally play. I'll tell you that right now. The last Tekken games that I played again was Tekken 8 and Tekken 7. And my issue with Tekken overall is its movement. I'm not a big fan of its movement. Not that I can't move in the game. I can do everything that everybody else does. But I just think it's a little bit much that I have to do this much just for movement. And it feels very robotic and it feels very stiff. And that's why I enjoy DOA, because it's a lot smoother. Virtual Fighter is pretty smooth, but DOA smooths that out even more. You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of the reasons why I like Soul Calibur, because I feel like Soul Calibur's movement is pretty smooth. But I know that's kind of dependent on the character that you use as well. So I just feel like Soul Calibur and DOA have very smooth movement. My Tekken experience is not very deep. I do play from time to time because I knew people back then actually used to have people like, man, you're really good at DOA. Why don't you play Soul Calibur? Why don't you play Tekken? I see you playing. You can be really good at these games. But I just never got into them because they just never scratched that itch for me. So Tekken wise, to say I have a favorite one, I don't think it would be true in any capacity. I don't think I have a favorite one because I don't play the game that much.
No, that's fair enough. I suppose you are more. You would be more into Virtua Fighter then, if there was to be another 3D fighting game you played.
I would check it out for sure. I've checked out Soul Calibur since Soul Calibur 2, I think. What I mean by checking out is I played it a little bit, checked it out if a friend had it, or maybe I bought it or rented it back then just to see how it was, because I knew friends that played it as well. But I never got really into it. In fact, no, actually I probably played Soul Calibur a little more than I would Tekken, but I think Soul Calibur and Virtual Fighter will probably be games I would touch first before I would go back to playing another Tekken game, you know?
All right. Well, I don't have too many more questions, but I do want to ask you, just for the sake of the future, what does the community, the Dead or Alive community, need to do to really get the attention of Team Ninja? If they're really clamoring for a DOA 7, what would be your best advice?
My best advice is always to, and I've told the community in the past whenever there's been concerns too, but my best advice for people to say hey, how do we bring another DOA? I would say, I don't know. It's going to be a two-part answer. The first part would be talk about the game. Talk about why you love it. Talk about, it doesn't matter if you grab clips or GIFs or whatever. I don't care if it's Kasumi's ending or if it's you beating up somebody. and talking about why it's so great, just talk about it. And in some sense, you're basically preaching about it, right? And if ever there's a person that tries to downplay you, like anybody that says like, oh, you're playing that game because it's XYZ game or it's easy or whatever the excuse may be, just tell them whatever, block them, get rid of them. You don't need that energy anyway. We're talking about a game that you're passionate about, not what they're passionate about. We don't need their 2 cents. We need more people that believe in what you believe in, and that is you want another DOA game, right? So stick with that and talk about it. The other part, and I know this is going to sound a little bit odd, but it's the reality when it comes to business. You show them that you want that game, which means if there is ever an announcement, you're the first person to pre-order, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how business works. That you want more stuff, you buy those products, you know what I'm saying? But I think the most important part first is to tell you, talk about the game. Talk about the games, show that you really want the game. Get people that, believe the same things that you do and want another DOA game. And, rather it be because of the storyline or a specific character, or because you like playing online with your friends. Like, talk about it, show some clips, show pictures, show whatever. But like, I love this game. I don't care what anybody says. I love this character. I don't care what anybody says. Now if you start throwing up some weird mod stuff, that I'm not for that. I can't help you there. But outside of that, like talk about the game, man. Talk about why you fell in love with the game. I can tell you why I fell in love with it, and that is this presentation, the fluidity of the game, and the characters. That's what made me like it, and it's a fighting game too, obviously. So that's why I play it to this day, because it still holds a lot of those fundamentals in the game.
I've got a couple more questions. So you still okay on time?
Yeah, I'm still good on time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I missed this super chat earlier. My apologies, Wolf Spain. Thank you for the $10. I don't know what's the modern obsession with minimalist content. Not everything fits into minimalism. It's all about focused content. Also, what is the chance for a DOA collection at MVC? Oh, we spoke about this a little bit earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did touch a little bit on it. I think it would be great if we did it. It's basically the short answer is it'd be great if we did it. I'm not sure if that's actually something that would happen. I know the idea was tossed, but I don't know. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to do something like that, definitely. I've got a question here from Hoodless. Who will win in a beam battle, Zach or Kazuya?
Oh, come on, Zach. Zach got that easy, bro. Easy. Zach, matter of fact, if Zach started the match without his glasses, he'd just win. The beam would already be coming out.
Wait, Zach's the black dude, right?
Yeah.
He'd beat Kazuya in a beam battle.
Yeah, dude. He has infinite beam.
Does it have that destructive force though?
It has enough to beat you up, bro. That's all that matters.
Let me see. There was another question that came in. Guys, make sure your questions are actually like focused questions and not too, because there's certain questions he's just not going to be able to answer. Yeah, I think I might have missed any. Did you have any other questions while I was searching for
I was
them?
actually going to ask you, Mike, what I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but you kind of got tired of other games, and that's what kind of steered you into playing DOA. Your experience with the DOA games, because I know you said you played DOA 6 and DOA 5 last round. What has been your overall experience with the games and some of the community members that you've had experiences with?
Just with DOA.
Yeah, with DOA.
My experience has been overwhelmingly positive. I've had no pushback or gatekeeping at all, which is something that I've experienced almost everywhere else. But to be fair, I've been in the other scenes for much longer, so I don't know. The longer I'm here, the more I might experience it. But my experience has been great. All of the top players that I've interacted with, Hoodless, Ponton. Obviously, I was already friends with Tom Brady. Swoozy came to the stream. Nunchaku was here. He plays DOA with us. There's another player as well. He's a really good Genfu player. I can't remember what his name is, but he always comes to my stream and no one can beat him. So it kind of like ruins the fun. But they've all like wanted to get involved. It's been great. I've had a really, really good time. The community on Twitter has been great towards me. The only thing that I've seen that I don't like is that's his name, Clear Light. That's it, yeah.
Yeah, Clear Light, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't deal with his Genfu, but that's fine. I'm still new. The only thing that I've seen that I don't like from the community is that there's like a desperate need to convince other people to play their game. And I'm like, now that I'm playing it, I'm like, I get why you're doing it. Like, it's a great game and more people should be playing it. But I don't like the way some people go about it. It's like
Yeah.
Tekken's not doing great right now. People are pissed at it. So instead of being like, oh, there's this great game over here, and these are the
Yeah.
reasons why you play it, it's like, oh, ha, 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 your game's suffering now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, people are going to get tribal with that shit, and they're not going to like it, and they're not going to come over.
Yeah, I think, well, I'm glad you've been having a great experience. Obviously, there's a lot of great community members in there that obviously enjoy DOA and are very passionate about that game, that also play other fighting games, obviously. I agree with you that sometimes people are very quick to kind of just like laugh or jump on the bandwagon of like, oh, this game or that game is struggling right now. They feel like, oh, that's what you get, type of thing, But I think our community in particular probably feels that way because we've always been treated a little bit differently. So it's always like difficult to try to like get more people to try to play it sometimes because they think like they've already downplayed some of the players or the community. So that way, whenever another game is like struggling and we're trying to bring them over, it's like, oh, some people have the automatic reaction of like, oh, see, your game is going through that. I think the proper move, though, the right move would be to just basically do what I was saying earlier. Just talk about your games. Tell people why you're passionate about it. So whenever somebody comes in and tells you something otherwise that, oh, I don't like it. I was like, okay, you don't like it. I don't need you here. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be a part of this conversation. This is a place for people that want to have that conversation. If you don't want to have the conversation for whatever reason, because, our characters look better than yours, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, just move on. But yeah, I think that's the best approach, And if people don't like your game, even if it's not DOA related, by the way, if people don't like your fighting game or your game, I would say just move on. Just don't try to convince someone of something that they don't seem to be very receptive to and they don't want to be convinced, because then you're just wasting your time. And that's always what I did with DOA. It doesn't matter how many times people wanted to basically kind of like recruit me to another fighting game. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. I appreciate it. That's cool. I think those are good games. It's just not for me, and thankfully I did what I did, because if I didn't stick to this game that I was very passionate about, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't have met people like yourself and everybody else in the community.
What do you, the one pushback that I've gotten, because I guess you could consider me a little bit of like a tourist. Like I play all sorts of games. Like I'm playing DOA right now. I'm playing Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Like I'm a bit all over the place. So I get to hear the conversations between different communities. And one of the things that keeps on being brought up to me, and I'm sure you've probably heard it before, is why are you playing that Guna game? What do you say to people that say that? Because now that I've played DOA, I don't see it like that. But for people that are on the outside looking in, if they come to my stream, they might see like loads of bikini costumes. How do you sort of like dispel the idea that this isn't just a game about bikinis and it's a proper fighting game?
Yeah, I guess the best way to dispel that is just go right into the point, right? The point is, it's a fighting game. Have you played it? If you're just going off of imagery that other people have shown, rather be through like pictures or screenshots or whatever, I mean, that's any game. I was like, I can't think of any fighting game today that doesn't have, bikinis or something like that on the game, So it's very rare that that's not like a content push or a marketing push. I think everybody's just, trying to make something out of nothing. And even if it's history, let's just say his history is about, being, very sexy fighter and all that stuff. It's like, okay, but it's a fighting game. So have you tried the fighting game portion of it is my question, So after you establish that, then you can decide, I was like, okay, is it still this Gunner game to you? You know what I'm saying? Is it still that to you? I was like, well, it's a really fun game or whatever, or, well, it still has these certain aspects. Like, okay, cool. It has those aspects. You don't have to pick those costumes. You don't have to play that character if you don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Or you can just pick a different costume. There's so many ways around it. To me, it's like, what do you think about the game? That's my most important part. What do you think about that part? The gameplay, the thing that holds you in. Because there's a lot of other games that have similar marketing strategies, right? And some of those games, in my opinion, sometimes don't have a lot of substance. You know, they kind of lack the substance that you're looking for. It's like, oh, this game looks very pretty. The protagonist looks very pretty. It's like, I'm going to play this game. And then you play and you're like, oh, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. You know, it's not that great. And I think that's where DOA excels, because its combat is so damn good that when you play, you're like, oh, snap, I've been looking at it this way this whole time. I didn't know it was legit good. It's like, yeah, that's what we've been trying to talk about. That's why we talk about it, you know? So I think that's the first thing you should talk about. Like whenever somebody, you know, tries to label it something, or they tell you something, it's like, have you played the game? Have you actually played it? And who'd you play it with? You know, let's play ourselves. Let's give it a shot. Let's see how it works. And then you can tell me then. And then, of course, if the pushback is like, oh, no, I don't want to get stuff, then that's when you move on. You're like, okay, we've had this discussion already, you know?
I actually think it gets a bad rep in that regard, because one thing I've noticed about fighting games and fighting game communities is that they've said this to me continuously now, because I've got involved with the DOA community. But whenever I go to Comic-Con, whenever I see girls dressing up as their favorite characters, they don't dress up as like the modern version of like these characters that have been sort of like, I'd say, watered down. They'll always, no, without fail, they will pick the ones from back in the day that were a little bit more racy. And I look at these other games as well, like Street Fighter 6, which is heavily it's leaning into like the whole sex appeal thing, and I don't see them getting the same sort of blowback. So why do you think it is that it's almost like that DOA is like the target of it? Do you think because they've done it the most, or do you think it's just like there's always someone that gets bullied in a group? Do you think DOA is like an easy target for people?
I think for me, my perspective is that it was one of its initial marketing strategies. But it's also gone through many eras within the last, I don't know, 20 years almost, if not more. Yeah, over 20 years. The original game came out in what, 96, 97? So back then, that marketing strategy was very easy. I mean, you can look back even before that. You're looking at Mai and other characters similar to Mai from SNK and stuff like that. Like people would see that and be like, oh, okay, this is just how these were. That was like the culture back then, right? So in my perspective, the era of marketing that way has changed. In some cases, it's like cool, like this is still cool. In other cases, it's like, oh, this is not cool anymore. But then in other cases, it's cool again. You know what I'm saying? So it's really weird. And I think it's the fact that DOA has done it for so long that it's kind of like, oh, you know, here we go again with this whole thing. But to me, it's like, I don't see that. I see the game. I see the fighting game, and it just happens to look amazing with a beautiful cast. You know what I'm saying? I don't have an issue with that. An example I could use would be like, you would probably say like, okay, DOA has this aspect of it, and it's like, you know, this is what it is. This is what it's about, and not focus on the fighting portion of it. But then I see like great marketing from like Stellar Blade, right? So Stellar Blade ends up doing their marketing, and it goes perfect. Like not perfect, but obviously they had their own hurdles. But it's just like it ends up selling like millions and all that stuff, and then people don't have an issue with that. And then I look back, I found an old advertisement for DOA. Actually, it was DOA 2. And it had like the girls, like I think on top of each other or something like that. And it was old. It's like 99 maybe. And it was just saying Dead or Alive 2, you know, are you hard enough to play this game or something like that? You know, like, are you a player? You know what I mean? It was like, it was a weird advertisement. But then I look at that and I'm just like, we were Stellar Blade. We were Stellar Blade back then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, so it's weird the times that we're in, because I think sometimes people just want game creators to make the game that they see. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you don't want to put some kind of political thing in it, but sometimes it's like, just make the game that you think is cool, that looks cool, that plays cool, you know, and go from there, you know, and just leave it as is, you know. And if it sells, it sells, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Obviously, you're trying to make you do. There's a lot of things that go behind that. You analyze the market and all that stuff, but I think for me, it's just like it's been around those moments where it was cool, where it's not cool, and now it seems like it is cool again. So it's like, you know, it's just a weird trend in the culture.
Yeah, I do feel like the culture's changed again. Like we've gone through that whole like everyone's trying to be super PC, and we've come out on the other side now where people are not really having it anymore. Yeah, and I feel like, you know, like we've always had those things in video games, or like we've had them in our movies and TV shows. I don't feel like DOA's ever like gone. Again, I'm very new to it, so I don't feel like DOA's ever gone over the edge. But yeah, I do think it gets an unfair rep. I can see Swoozy in the chat. What's going on, Swoozy?
He's in here? Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's in here. He said, when are you going to start the hard questions?
Oh my God.
If you have a question, Susie, you can ask. I call him Susie. There were a couple more super chats that came in for you. Shadow Dragon TV with $5. Shouts to Master. Still remember trying to recreate those high abuser combos from that 20-minute combo video. Looking forward to Neo 3 and Ninja Gaiden 4.
Awesome. Yeah. If you watch those combo videos and I look, for those of you guys that don't know, I uploaded those videos and I didn't anticipate that sort of reaction to them. And when I look at my YouTube analytics, they're still my top 2 videos that people look at. Like when I go back to it, it's like they look at like they give you the analytics as to which videos are still being watched, and those 2 always pop up. So I'm glad that you liked the video and that you're still trying to do the combos. They weren't easy, and that was done on purpose so it could be creative.
Yeah, the Azuna drop videos are like, I've been watching them as well, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
there's some videos that I watch on particular stages where he drops you on your head, and I'm just like, if someone did that to me on ranked, I'd be pissed. And then we got Nicodamus. Thank you for the $5. Master, what are great sources to use to get better at DOA, including websites, channels, or wikis?
Oh, okay. If you want to get better at DOA, obviously YouTube is going to be your main source, so you can see videos and whatnot. I can't remember all the channels, but I know I've put in a couple of videos. Some of the stuff that I put is kind of old now, but it still applies to the core mechanics of the game. Hoodless has some stuff on there. I know Emery does. I know Zachary at some point did. You'll see something on Twitter from time to time. There's this guy that's from, I think he's from Europe. He puts a lot of tutorial videos on Twitter. If I can find his name, I would definitely share it with you. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. He just shared one of my posts recently, but I don't know which post that was. But he posts stuff on all the time on there. His Twitter account has been growing slowly but surely, and it's very DOA focused. So if I can remember his name, or if I can find it right here right now, I will share it with you, but I can't seem to find it. But yeah, so YouTube will probably be the best thing. You'll find some sort of tutorial, even if it's DOA 5 or DOA 6. Some of the core mechanics still apply. So just my most important thing is understanding the fundamentals, understand the triangle system, and then understand fighting game fundamentals with punishment, spacing, throw punishment, attack punishment, if it applies, things of that nature, when to hold, when not to hold, things like that.
There's a question here from Swoozy. My question for Master is what he thinks TK will have to do for DOA 7 to make the game pop off.
It needs to be basically crazy. It needs to have every move from every game ever included in there. No, but honestly, I think DOA 7, if there ever is one, is I think the cinematic portion of the game needs to stick with it. It needs to stick with it or return. I think some portions have changed over time, and I think that's what kind of sucked me in. Some of the cinematic effect during attacks, throws, and holds is what kind of pulled me in. And the storyline is really cool sometimes. This game, for those of you guys that don't know, DOA started from kind of a dark storyline, or basically someone took advantage over someone else, and that's how you had like Ayane and these other characters were born, and the treatment between characters. I think those storylines and building off of those storylines that show a little bit of challenges and hurdles that people have gone through in their life, I think is what people attach to, and I think sticking true to that and having the cinematic feel of the fighting portion is what people will. It always makes you feel good. Like, I'm not sure how many of you guys have played Neo or maybe even some of the Souls games like Sekiro, but what you ever do a parry or land a parry that makes you feel like, oh yeah, and you land multiple parries sometimes, and you're just like, oh, I freaking nailed it, and you're bringing down the stamina of this guy, and you like land a hit. It always feels rewarding, right? And that's kind of what DOA does. Even without the stamina meter, it just always does that. Like, gives you that feeling. So I want to make sure that stays true to the game. You got to box it in and put it somewhere so that way it stays within the game and amplify that. So you crank it up to like 1,000 so people can really feel that, I feel like it needs to be a little bit over the top sometimes. I feel like sometimes hits should feel like an anime cartoon where you hit them and they go flying and there's like wind everywhere. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but it all has to just be quick. It has to run smoothly. I think that's what probably make it more really pop off, because it's the visuals. The visuals is what captures people. If you don't play the game ever, you don't have no clue about it, but you see somebody flying through a window and they're exploding and all that, you're gonna want to know what's that game about, you know?
Yeah, I remember seeing DOA 4. I think it was 4 for the first time, and you're on that stage where the cars are coming past.
Yeah,
And I was just sitting there like, what the hell? I need to play this. Like, it looks so crazy.
Exactly. He was like, you might not even be into that genre of game, and you're just like, I just want to try it out because you're out here fighting in cars, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's many games that are as spectator friendly as DOA. So I really hope that if they do a 7, that they do go all in on the stages, because it starts to feel very monotone when, like you said, all these games are square boxes that you fight in, and everything looks pretty around them, but you can't really interact with anything. And I feel like DOA did it well, because some other games where you can interact with it, it becomes overwhelming and it ruins the game. But DOA, like, they struck a very healthy balance in between both.
I agree.
Mr. Jamie, thank you for the 199. Guna is a term that will die in a few years. Yeah, people overuse it. Someone said in the chat, I don't know where the chat's gone now, but they said, like, people love DOA for DOA, and if DOA stopped trying to be DOA, it would not do as well. So I don't think people should listen to the noise. Yeah. And I don't know if you could touch on this, but like, I remember reading a article from RGG, and it was from the original creator of Yakuza, and people were complaining, saying, why is there not a female lead? Why is there not a female lead? And he just came out and said, this is a game made by men for men. And although like some women like this game, this is a game like this, the themes and the storylines and the characters, we've designed them in a particular way that we think everyone can like, but it's made for a specific type of people. With all the noise like that surrounded, like, I remember, I don't know if you can talk much about like the Evo situation, but I remember hearing a lot of people talking about how DOA needs to change to move into the future. And I was just like, I don't think it does. I think it just needs to continue being DOA, and it's always done pretty well. Do you think that there's a pressure on the team to change DOA and move it away from what it's always been into something new?
I think there's always that kind of like that what's the way I can describe it, kind of like that unspoken pressure. Like, you know, there's people, you obviously know that there's a group of people that want certain things for DOA, and then there's another group of people that want other things for DOA, and you know, each group has a different size or a different level of influence. But I think I'm with you on the sense of DOA just needs to be DOA. I don't think it needs to try to cater to like a different, like, there's no reason for us as a DOA franchise to try our hardest to try to cater to a Soul Calibur type of player. You know what I'm saying? We don't even have weapons in the game. I mean, we have them, but we don't use them like that. Some characters do, at least. But like, that would be a wrong move to do. Not to say that it maybe in the future there's like a spin-off or something like that. Maybe they have weapons or something like that. Or maybe they're guest characters in Soul Calibur or something like that. But I think it just needs to be DOA. I think it just needs to accept what it is and continue moving forward. And I've always been a fan of that overall. I think as long as there's not two extremes on either way, you don't want a game that's like so focused on just the combat alone and that there's no specialty modes. Like, I wouldn't be like, what, we don't need those extra modes. We just need story and versus. That's it. You know what I mean? That would be foolish, you know? So obviously there should be a balance within what DOA is, and then add something extra, you know, so that people are enticed to try to get into the game and play it. That's just the way I see it. I don't think it needs to like do one thing or another just to like try to cater to the other people. Like, you always try to find new audiences, but I don't think following somebody else's path is the way that you should be going.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I do hope that they stick to their guns, and hopefully we do see a DOA 7. I think I've exhausted all the questions I wanted to ask you. Was there anything that you wanted to say to the community, or anything that you wanted to bring up whilst everyone's still here?
Not particularly. I mean, there's obviously some stuff that was discussed in one of your previous streams that was very questionable. But
yes. Do you want to talk about that?
We can touch on it a little bit. What I would say is there's obviously been a lot of stuff that happened in DOA with a lot of the esports stuff and whatnot that I got to be fortunately to be a part of. My journey in there is obviously what I tell you is my perspective and what happened on there. And I think having that opportunity is to be a part of, World Cyber Games, Evo, and even CGS, which is obviously was an official league. That was something that's never happened again, as far as I'm aware. That was a very rare opportunity that we probably weren't going to have in the first place, like overall, until we had personalities like Swoozy and myself in there and stuff like that. I think there's always this confusion, like, oh, there was like this sort of like corruption or whatever. There's never been a sort of corruption or anything like that. Everything had a reason for why it happened and why it happened that way. Like, it's like, why is certain person there? Why is certain things happening there? Well, they had to meet certain people. They had to understand certain requirements or whatnot. So there's always this confusion about what happened in the past. I don't think there's ever was a confusion, especially if those people weren't there. You know what I'm saying? If you weren't even a part of this, like, you have no reason to speak because you weren't there, The other thing I was going to touch on was basically, I want people to always encourage other players to try to just check out the game. Always, if you really like, if you believe what I believe, which is basically DOA is probably the best fighting game out there. That's just what I believe. You don't have to agree with me, but that's what I believe. But if you believe that too, we're part of the same movement, is basically what I'm saying. And no matter what is being said, no matter what is being talked about, that should be your focus, no matter what's going on. So to me, it's like, if you want to continue playing DOA, play it as much as you want. If you hope to see a new one, voice that opinion, make it out there, voice it out there, put it on social media, put it wherever. It's like, hey, I hope there's a new DOA. I love this game for XYZ reason. My friends play it. I grew up with it, whatever, or I just got into it, like yourself. I just got into it, had a great, interaction with the community and some of the more notable community members. So that's great. I mean, the whole idea is to get more people to play the game and just show why this game is important and why it was so ahead of its time. There's a lot of things that this game did that kind of laid the groundwork for a lot of other games that, weren't even thinking about doing what DOA was doing. So I think for me, it's just like, pay attention to what's actually happening, pay attention to what's going on in the future of the game, and always focus on trying to make things better. And then, of course, I'm always here. I'm always trying to make sure that I'm the bridge between you and the developer. And there's ever, any questions or things that come up, let me know. You can always tag me. I'm always available. I've known people for a very long time. So I hope you guys enjoy DOA for the very, very far future, whenever the next version ever decides to come out. It'll be an exciting time for sure. And I'm looking forward to everybody's reaction whenever that time does come.
Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. One person I do have to give a big shout out to, I'm sure you know him, is Emery Reigns.
Yeah.
He as soon as he realized that like I was doing DOA stuff, he was like one of the first people to reach out and like ask me if he wants to teach me anything, or is there anything you want to know, or like when some of the top players were in the stream, we were like we can't play, and Emery was in there like, get out of the stream so they can play and learn the game. So he's been very like I go onto his YouTube channel to like learn about Virtua Fighter and DOA, and he's been pushing DOA like crazy. So he was one of the ones that got me into it before I even properly picked it up. So I definitely think those things help the community, especially now when there's so many people that don't know which fighting game they want to go to. And I honestly, like, I can't praise DOA 5 enough with the amount of stuff that's in the game just to do online with your community. There's still things that I haven't even explored yet. So yeah, I just wanted to give him a quick shout out because he really has like constantly vouched for DOA when some people might not have been talking about it anymore. And he recently messaged me about like some exhibitions that he wants to do. So he's been out here like proper like waving the DOA flag.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big supporter. It's obviously had a big influence in his life, the game itself. So it's always interesting to hear people's stories, like, the level of influence that a game will have on someone's life. And obviously him as a content creator and anybody else, Swoozy or Hoodless or anybody else, they have a certain level of influence that came or maybe originated with DOA. You know what I'm saying? It's always interesting, myself included. Obviously, I mean, the role that I'm in is a role that, what you say can matter to a lot of people. So it's important to use that influence in the right way so you can bring more people in. You know, you don't want to be destructive. You don't want to, you know, be negative. And these people that you're talking about, like Emery and like the people I mentioned, these are people that want more people to get involved, more people to, you know, find their what do you call it, their calling with DOA if they're interested in it, you know. And I think it's important to continue to promote that. I think it's really cool. I'm happy that you came across Emery. I'm happy you've had a chance to play Hoodless and experience what it's like to play with a world-class player. So
yeah,
it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that. And I definitely want more of that, you know.
Well, just before you go, I was just going to show everyone, this is Master's YouTube channel. So definitely go over there and subscribe to him, because I've been watching some of your DOA stuff, and I know I'm many years off catching up to you guys, but it's very entertaining to watch.
You're fine. You're doing good. Every now and then you'll catch me on there on some Ninja Gaiden stuff. So obviously when Ninja Gaiden 4 drops, I'll probably be showing some Ninja Gaiden 4 stuff on there. So yeah, check it out, guys. If you guys want to, man, I'm there. I'm there too.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you coming on, dude. Like, it's especially because I'm new to the game. I know like not a lot of the DOA crowd know who I am yet, so I do appreciate you coming on and chatting to everyone. Was there anything you wanted to say in closing?
I was gonna say, actually, you guys have been watching and on Mike's channel for a while now, and I want to make sure that you guys get a little something. So I do have some DOA codes to give out here on your channel. So I can give it to you, and you can spread it out however you want, and give it to people here in this chat or on your Twitter. But I'm gonna shoot some codes over here for you, and you can give it out.
I appreciate that, man. We could even do it on the stream now. Do a spin the wheel, and
yeah, go ahead, do a spin the wheel. There's one code I'm sending in our chat, and then there's a second code right there. So those are for the deluxe version of DOA 6. So if you guys want to hop into DOA 6, Mike is gonna do a little spin the wheel here, and you guys will get one of the codes. Somebody in the chat will get a code, and that's just a thank you to you guys for tuning into his channel and being here this length of time. I know it's been a few hours now, so I think you guys should be rewarded for being here.
No, I really appreciate it, man. That's really, really kind of you. And like I said, I've just started on DOA 6. I'm having a good time on it, so I'm probably gonna do a stream for DOA 6 next, sometime next week, because I'm away from London for a couple of days, but. Yeah, next week. So there's 2 codes in here. So we'll do a spin the wheel, and
these are for PC, guys. Just so you know, for PC.
Okay. Does DOA have crossplay at all?
Does not have crossplay with the other platforms, so it should be just PC players.
Okay, no, that's cool. Well, I've got a pretty good laptop, so we can jump on PC anyway. But I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on here. Again, guys, just play DOA. Play whatever you like, man. Just play whatever you like. I'm Cam DOA. I'm always going to be Cam DOA. So if you ever ask me about another game, I'll be like, that's a cool game, but this game is better. So that's just how it is over here.
Yeah, no, I respect that, man. You got to hold it down for DOA.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you jumping on. Hopefully we can do it again at some other point. It'd be nice to get you on like a group podcast or something at some point.
Yeah, maybe down the line. I think that's something we can probably do. And if anything else, maybe I'll catch you online on DOA. Rather, I'll be on PC, PlayStation. I'm on everything, technically. I'm on everything.
Yeah, just show us mercy when you come into the stream.
I'll try. I'm a little bit rusty. I'm a little bit rusty, but we'll see what I can do.
No worries, bro. It's good to see you, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care, man. All right, guys. Well, Master's giving you 2 codes, so I'm gonna do a spin the wheel. Also, thanks for all of you dropping in and watching. Yeah, that was very, very cool and kind of him. Now, I don't know how we're going to do this, because there's a lot of you in here. How should we do this? If I do a spin the wheel, the thing is, I'm going to write all your names, and there's too many people in the chat. Let's have a look. Yeah, it was a lot of fun sitting and talking to Master. Very, very cool guy. Should we do a spin? How do you guys want to do this? Do you want to do a spin the wheel? Is there a better way to pick a winner? Because I've got 2 codes here, and they're in the private chat. So ideally, we're going to give them out before the stream ends. One to be on the wheel? Yeah, I guess. This is going to be very hard getting everyone's names in here, but you know what? We'll make it work. Let me just bring up the spin the wheel. I'll put it on the screen as well. Okay, so we'll do spin the wheel. Right, if you could just type 1 in the chat. All right, Izzy, take care, bro. If you could just, the prize is DOA 6 on PC. There's 2 codes, so there's going to be 2 winners today. If you could just type 1 in the chat and I'll put you on the wheel. Please don't spam it because you'll end up confusing me. Okay, JJBA. Oh God, this is going to be a nightmare because usually I stream on OBS, but when I do these interviews, I do it on StreamYard. So this is a little bit confusing because it's on 2 different things, but it's fine. Ross. Oh my Lord. He should have given it to me after the stream. Now I can't leave without giving these away. What am I missing? Xiaomei. Gonna be here all night doing this. Feel like I've been set up. Guys, please don't spam your names. I can see some of you spamming. I can see the chat. I'll get to each one. My Lord, how many people are here? There's someone watching SpongeBob outside my room. Yeah, that stupid sponge from a mile away. God, we got a lot of names in here. This looks painful. Yeah, it is painful. A master set me up. He set me up. I was like, oh, that's a nice thing to do. I was like, wait, hold on a second. How's this going to work? Trump, the 47th anime hero. Oh, man. What kind of name is that? Let's see. Lord, still people putting once. God help me. And if you win, make sure you send me a message on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Real Mike Collar. If you just type in Mike Collar, it should come up. All right, let's see. Guys, if I see a username pop up more than once now, I'm going to remove you from this. A couple of you are putting ones too many times. I've already put you on here. Well, if you don't have Twitter, message me on Discord then. If you ain't got Discord, then you're shit out of luck. I ain't giving you my phone number. Am I going to do one by one? I can't do that, Casey. I'm on StreamYards. I'm not on YouTube. StreamYards streams to Twitch, X, and YouTube at the same time. So I'm on a website right now, even though you guys are watching me through YouTube. That is why this is you got skipped. Did you get skipped? No, you didn't get skipped, bro. You can't read. All right, Coffee Gambit. No, you can't cut and paste on StreamYards. Soji, Animated Gamer, OJ. Yeah, you could if you just either Discord or Twitter, one of them. Come on, we're all gamers here. How are you a gamer? You ain't got Discord or Twitter. All right, I think we're caught up. I finally caught up. Okay, last call, guys. Last call. Goonie a Goon. What a name. Good lord. Last call if you have not put your ones down. Let me shuffle this. All right. There's another person that's joined neutral. 30 seconds to let yourself be known. And then I will move on. Oh, yeah. There was this new feature on StreamYards where you can play background music. Let's try it out. Something a little calmer in the background. Can you not hear that? It works. Can you not hear that background music? Is it too loud? Is it too low? Can any of you guess where the background music is from? You say this music's us. I should remove you from this, bro. You can't hear the music. Could be a tad higher. I didn't want it to overwhelm anything. Wow, you guys are on culture day. No one knows where this tune is from. China. Not a single. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because there's a couple of you in here. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint before we spin the word. It's a PS2 game. Kung Fu Panda, bro. Come on, man. I ain't putting Kung Fu Panda on my. Hey, Moonbullet, hush your gums. I'll spin the wheel when I'm ready. Can't even hear anything. All right, forget you guys. All right, let's get to spinning. All right, so our first winner, Wish You the Blade. No, it's Shadow of the Colossus, man. I can't believe you guys. I'm so disappointed. Right, first winner is Mali. Mali, are you in the chat? If I call your name and you don't say anything, it's going to go to someone else. So make sure you're still here. You're not an unk like me. I'm sorry, but didn't they remake or do a remaster of Shadow of the Colossus, and you guys haven't played it? I can't believe it. Mali, I don't. Oh, there you are, Mali. Okay, Mali, do you have Twitter or Discord? How many codes are you giving? There's only 2 codes, so Mali's got one of them. My Discord. You can add me on Discord, fam. You add me and send me a message, and I'll give you the code. All right, hold on. All right, cool. Yeah, my Discord is on the screen. Okay, so we're gonna spin for the next person whilst we wait for Mally to respond. All right. So the next winner is. Let's shuffle it. Super shuffle. Right, here we go. No, C-Bims, you want to be added to it, yeah? Imagine he wins, comes in last second. All right. Last code. Let's go. No way did that just happen. He got added to it last second. He won. Insane. Insane. That's hilarious. Well, do you know what I'll do? Do you know what I'll do to match Master? Is I will how much is DOA right now on PlayStation? Could someone tell me how much it is on PlayStation, please? Does anyone know how much DOA 6 is on PlayStation right now? 60. It's not 60 on PlayStation right now. It's on sale, isn't it? Oh god, I'll just check myself, man. Let's have a look. PlayStation Store. Dead or Alive. Why doesn't it tell me? Because I've already got it. Oh, it's not on sale right now. All right, well, I'll just for a little appreciation, just to match. It's $54.99. Oh god, I've put my foot right in it now, haven't I? Well, I guess I have to follow through. If what I'll do is I'll get DOA 6 for someone then on PlayStation. I thought it was still on sale. I'm like, fuck's sake. All right, never mind. That's fine. I said it out loud. Got to follow through now. It's full price. I bought it for £6, man. God damn, I got cheated. All right. Don't do it. Well, I've already said it. I kind of have to do it. You want to get added in, Kenjamin? You son of a bitch. Can't believe it. Put me on that damn wheel, Mike. Moonbot, I don't like how you've been talking today, bro. You're on thin ice. Maybe I should put myself in there. Hold on, Mike. What's up, Master? Someone said in the chat earlier, it's crazy that we're calling a grown man Master. I started cracking up. Can't gift games on PlayStation. I'd have to buy a gift card that would accommodate the amount that it costs. I can hook you up with an EU code for PlayStation for a season pass. Oh shit. Wow, Master came through again. Hey, you saved me, boy. You saved me. I was about to fork out 70 odd pounds. Long Beach Joe Jets. Thank you, Master. I appreciate that. Now that I keep saying his name after that guy made that joke, now I can't get out of my head. All right, well, yeah, I put you in, Mesach. Chill, bro. I put you in. You're right there. You'll DM me. All right, Master's gonna DM me. Master's gonna DM me. No, I can't get the joke out of my head. Yeah, he's gonna DM me the codes. So this one will be for PlayStation. So CBIMS and oh, he's just sent me over. Okay, so he's DM'd it to me. So I will send it out to the winner. Now it is EU. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. Saved me a whole bunch of money. Because it's an EU code, what you'll need to do if you're American and you win this, you want me to remove you from the wheel? That's fine, no problem. If you win it, you'll need to make a UK account to access it. Which is fine because I've got an American account. Wait, should I be saying that out loud? Is yours? No, yours is on PC. CBIMS. Add Shimblade. Is Shimblade in the chat? Did I miss him? Oh, what's going on, Shimblade? How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Let me add Shimblade. Later, Mamiji. No glitching. Can you exchange it for a PS5 code? No, that's the only one that we got, bro. PC code for you. Hey, you came in last second and won that shit. You better find a PC to get it working on. There's only one PlayStation code, and that is going to go to the next winner. Alright. Hey, Mike, can I live, please? Can you live? What does that mean? I put you on the wheel, Joey. You're on here, so your name is... There it is. All right. Yeah, don't worry about being removed. If you're not here when I call you, then you just won't win it. All right. So I'm gonna shuffle and then we're gonna spin. That'll be the last winner for the night, and I'll send you the code. So we got Mali, we got CBIMS, and we got one more, and that is gonna be. Washed Ali. Washed Ali, you are the winner of the PlayStation code. So just like everybody else, please send me a message and I will drop it. I'll send it off to you. Yeah, send me a message on Twitter or on Discord and I'll send it off to you. So let me see if Mali has messaged me yet so I can give him the code. Oh, there we go. It's Mali. So Mali, here is your code. Say thank you to Master, specifically like that. Thank you, Master. All right, I've sent Mali his code. CBIMS, let me send you your code. Where's CBIMS? CBIMS, I not got you on Discord, bro. Oh, there you are. Name didn't pop up. All right, Bims, there's your code. Wash the alley. Where did you message me? All right, Master. Take care, bro. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you for all the codes. Really appreciate that. You just saved me £70 because I've opened my stupid mouth. So appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. You're doing Discord. All right. Yeah, send it over to me. I'll drop this off to you now. Wait, what's your Discord name, Washed Ali? Because I just got a message from someone. It don't look like you. Oh, okay. No problem. There you go, bro. There's your code. Okay, well, guys, that was it. Thank you for coming by. The way I see it, you heard what he said. Make noise about DOA 7. Make noise about it. You never played Shadow of the Colossus? You guys need to get on that shit. Maybe I'll do a stream for it so you guys can see what it's like. I've got every single version of it. Absolutely love it. I love Team Ico so much. I've got their figurines in all over my house. Oh shit! I just knocked something off. This is from The Last Guardian, which was the game that came after it. I've got my Shadow of the Colossus figurine around this somewhere, but I don't know where I've put it. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you. There'll be a video on the channel tomorrow. But other than that, I'm going to be away until Monday. Monday is when we're going to most likely do the big Tekken talk. So we'll have Shinblade here, who I've not even told yet officially, but I'm sure you can hear me. Hopefully G6 can join. We're going to have Jason Montoya on here, who is the person that has been heavily pushing back on everything that I said about Tekken. So that'll be interesting. And obviously King J will be here as well. And then we might have some other people on as well, like Vinci and Blackheart, but and Chad the Third. But yeah. Next week we're also gonna have After School Sophie. I don't know if you guys remember After School Sophie. She had that slight crash out session on Tekken where she blurted a bunch of unsavory things. She's gonna be on the podcast as well next week because some stuff has been going on. Yeah, the VTuber. That's gonna be an interesting podcast. And then there's going to be someone else on here that I can't say just yet because I haven't confirmed if they're going to actually come on. They're not actually from the fighting game community, but you guys will know. You'll know of them. They're quite well known on YouTube. So yeah, that will be fun. But yeah, it's going to be my first VTuber. I've never interviewed a VTuber before, so that should be funny. Look, I've spoken to her for a few days now, so she seems cool. So we'll go over a bunch of things. Prince Charles, you're bugging, bro. You're bugging. Keep my name out of that Epstein conversation. Anyways, if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus or Last Guardian, jump on this shit. Phenomenal games and Ico. And until tomorrow, guys. Oh, what's that? Bleach. What about it? Well, technically, I'm the second highest ranked player in the world right now on Bleach. Bleach, Mike? Why are you saying Bleach, Mike? I'm confused. Yeah, to verse you. Oh, not tonight, bro. It's midnight. I'm going to bed. I've got an early start in the morning. I've got an early start Saturday and Sunday as well. So I'm going to be busy until Monday. I haven't played Fakaram yet. I don't have the season pass. I know he's out for us now. I will pick him up at some point. You guys will most likely see me Monday. After tomorrow, you'll see a video on the channel, and then you'll see me again on Monday. You missed the stream, Makai. Hey, you missed it, bro. Sorry. Next stream is with a Ouija board talking to Princess Diana. Yeah, no, we're not gonna mess with Ouija boards on here. I'm half Greek. We're very superstitious. You won't see me touching that stuff. Although I have been talking to some people about launching a second YouTube channel, and it might be horror related. So we'll see in it. That will be an IRL thing. Like we'll be going places and recording it. So maybe we'll get that started up again. We already have the channel. It's called Fright Bite for anyone that's wondering. We might get that started up again because that was a lot of fun. Mike is going to debut in NXT. I might, my friend works there. So if you guys watch NXT, then you know who Stevie Turner is. She's a personal friend of mine. And Kit in Pretty Deadly. Me, him, and Stevie went to Nando's before they went out to America. That was the last time. It's been a while. I spoke to her a couple of months ago. I know she was in London or she was in the UK the other day, but I was busy and she was probably busy, so I didn't get a chance to see her. But yeah, I've got some friends at the WWE. I do have some friends at the WWE. Mike, I've asked previously which you may have missed, although have you ever played any plat fighters outside of Smash? No, I don't like platform fighting games very much. The channel's called Fright. I'll show it to you. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, the channel's called Fright Bite. We were actually really proud of it, but we just didn't have time to continue it, so I'll show you guys what it looks like. Oh wow, one of our videos has like 400 views. This is our channel. It's called Fright Bite. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gents. It has been through, so uploaded our first episode, and needless to say, so yeah, this is
Good morning.
This is us.
Wherever you are in the world. Well, tonight,
This is one of my boys.
We're taking a trip to where is it called?
Vanjwell. Vagina Well. Yeah, so we went up to Vanjwell.
Obviously.
And we basically got steaks, and this is one of my boys.
I'm not tapping out. I'm just saying it's a shit.
Vanjwell. Leave it up to Brits to be absolutely disrespectful and just hey, we gotta wait until nightfall, man. Is that the
what?
what?
Sort of a well is that? No wonder they're sacrificing children into this world. They ain't enjoying water from that thing.
Well, we gotta wait until nighttime. It's daytime. We just got here. This guy is not a ghost hunter. Look at him. Yeah, anyway, we went in the
I'm not
daytime.
tapping out. I'm just saying it's a shit.
And then
no disrespect.
yeah, we stayed at the well until midnight. We tried to catch some stuff. It was fun. We had a good time.
Mr. Cash was true to his name.
On the fears of the people.
Yes.
Let's see.
Now I'm gonna plop myself down. It was just Michael eating some chicken bites that we got from
What's that?
the roadside. What? No, nothing.
Well, nothing's happened. It's been somewhat uneventful. My flashlight, as you can see, is completely fucked. I think I may have just crushed a rat by mistake. Yeah, it's not everything it was coked up to be, but I think we kind of expected that. Not much more to say about this place, really. They said it was meant to invoke feelings of anger, make me want to kill someone. I don't know. I feel the same. Maybe coming here and wasting my time is gonna make me want to kill someone. Anyway, yeah, it was a good time. We had a good time. It was it's definitely something I want to start up again. So you might see that channel pop up. We just need to find time around everyone's schedules. That's the main thing. But there is a place in the UK that's like meant to be violently haunted that we were all like, yeah, let's go check that place out. So we might do that at some point. So that'll be the next thing. Do I play Under Night in Birth? Nah. Absolutely not. Nothing against the game. I just don't play those kinds of fighting games. If you see me playing a fighting game, it's probably going to be a 3D fighting game. I liked DNF Duel. I played that quite a bit. I think I was his name Ghostblade. I played Ghostblade quite a bit. Was it Ghostblade? The guy that he had like some sort of stand behind him or ghost. A demon will follow me home. No, a demon ain't gonna follow me home, but it will follow my friend home because he's always talking shit and he's always scared. It'll follow him home. It ain't gonna follow me home. I got the power of Christ in this house. What other 2D? I'm gonna play Marvel Tokon just because that looks sick. But most of the time, you won't see me playing a 2D fighting game. I mostly just play 3D fighting games. It's either 3D fighting games, and that accounts for arena fighters as well. Yeah, we've already got problems in this house. Don't you guys remember when I was on stream with Ellie and my door swung open? I ain't scared of no ghost. Don't say that too loud. I've got to go to bed soon. But yeah, no, that's the plan really. Like I've had other channels before, but that one was the most fun. So we definitely want to get back to doing that. I've also got a friend she's technically a witch. She was on one of the videos. Let me see if I can show you guys. She actually brought her book with her. Here she is. So she actually knows witchcraft. So this is she's like family basically.
The spirit.
Huh?
This
How
is
do you-
my
yeah,
smart
tell us a
entry.
bit. Tell us a bit how
How
you.
do you offend? Asking them how they died. Some of them actually don't know they're dead.
I thought that was a common question.
No, that's rude. Imagine like you don't know you're dead and someone's like, how'd you die?
I
You'd
don't
be
know. I
quite
always see
upset.
them. Do they do it on TV to provoke them? Then?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, she pulled out a black book and started reading some stuff. Here, let me show you guys.
Lend us your sight. Give us the power to see things that good people fight. Too long they've been trapped in the dark, but now let them in the light. Spirits, show yourself. Spirits, reveal. Spirits, come to us, show us you're real. Hear these words, hear our cry. Spirits from the other side. Come to us, I summon thee. Cross now the great divide. Power of the sisters rise. Course unseen across the skies. Come to us who call you near. Come to us and settle here. Blood to blood, I summon thee. Blood to blood, return to me. I call forth from space and time matriarchs from the family line, mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, our family spirit without end, to gather now in this place. Help us. Ipsium revelia, Ipsium revelia, Ipsium revelia.
Holy shit! Where did you get that from?
Covenant's Weekly News Bulletin.
Wrote it myself.
You wrote it yourself.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I've got some strange friends, but she's like my sister. We're very close. I was supposed to go to a house of my friends a couple of weeks ago, but we missed it, so I'm probably gonna go next month. But yeah, don't fuck with her because she won't be able to beat you up physically, but she will definitely. Well, we'll save that for another stream. Anyways, guys, we've hit the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna get some sleep. Maybe told you guys a bit too much there. I don't know witchcraft. Before anyone starts, okay? I don't know witchcraft. I am a God-fearing person. Yeah. I'm a God-fearing person, but I have loads of friends in loads of different fields. When she started saying that, I literally put this up to her. I was waving this in her face, and I was like, "Do you feel anything?" She looked at me with these cold eyes, and she was like, "Nothing." And I was like, "Damn, better not mess with her." All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go to bed. Probably not appropriate for a DOA stream. Might have to cut this out for the VOD, but appreciate all the super chats. Thank you very much for being a part of the stream. Does she have a gamer tag? She'll be on the channel one day. I'm gonna see her in a couple of days. She is a gamer, but she's into like Witcher and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. So she's not into fighting games. But yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for the super chats. And oh, sorry, I am so sorry. Thank you to Ethan for becoming a member. I'm so sorry for skipping over that earlier. My bad. Appreciate you, bro. Now we need this info. Well, tune in for the next stream where I'm just sitting around playing games and we'll talk. She's a nerd. Yeah, she's a massive nerd. Anyways, enough about my friend, guys. Go to bed. Don't start your gooning. I'll get her to put a spell on you, okay? See you all later. Take care and peace.